Part 43. Become a disciple of Taoist priest Four Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 425. Chapter 418 One Long Kill. What do Master Su think of my dragon palace? The two of them talked as they walked. Wealthy and prosperous, there are few in the world that can compare. The palaces built with the power of practitioners are naturally magnificent. What's more, here is the Longjiang aquatic tribe's accumulation of tens of thousands of years, and the complexity and gorgeousness are naturally far superior to the outside world. Even the imperial city of Daong is not as good as this dragon palace. Haha, if you really like me, you might as well stay in my dragon palace for a few more days. It doesn't hurt to stay a few more days. I'm just afraid that the Dragon King might think that I, an outsider, am an eyesore here. Genren Su's words are wrong. Who doesn't know that Genren is the strongest person in the world of cultivation, with profound Taoism and amazing cultivation? If he stays in our dragon palace, it will be the glory of our Longjiang aquatic tribe. Su Junming smiled undeniably and didn't say much. After glancing at him, Ao Kun's eyes flashed and then calmed down. While talking, the two of them came to the foot of a cliff behind the dragon palace. Looking at the simple stone door that is 3 feet wide and 2 feet high, with no patterns in front of it. Is this where Dragon Palace's treasure is hidden? Su Junming said calmly. Exactly, Ao Kun nodded. The place where important treasures are collected needs to be hidden from others, so it is inevitably a bit simpler from the outside. Su Junming, who had been moving the bronze mirror, looked through the stone gate and saw a magnificent palace in front of him. 9 dragon stone pillars support a 6-foot-high space. On the top of the solid hall, there is a relief pattern of 9 dragons swallowing pearls. A pearl the size of a wash basin is located under the guard of the 9 dragons. Its clear light illuminates the entire hall as bright as day. Surrounding the stone hall, there are thousands of tablets floating densely and neatly, and they are divided into 3 different materials: gold, silver, and copper. The golden tablet is 9 feet high and 3 feet wide. The text in relief is mostly the spiritual tablet of So and So Dragon. The number is also the smallest, adding up to only 9 sides. The second silver tablet is 6 feet high and 2 feet wide. The content of the tablet is So and So Dragon King's spiritual tablet, and the number is about 2 to 300. The copper-colored tablet is once again 3 feet high and 1 foot wide. The content of the tablet is mostly So and So Dragon Son's spiritual tablet, amounting to more than 2,000 pieces. In the middle of all the rankings, there is a giant cauldron that is 3 feet high, 1 foot 8 feet wide, completely black and embossed with dragon patterns. The aura of the giant cauldron is mysterious. Su Junming is proficient in the Huishan Dao method, and he can tell at a glance that it is a Huishan Dao spiritual treasure. Use the bronze mirror to break through the restrictions of this treasure and take a look. Really? Inside this great cauldron is a world that spans tens of thousands of miles. The sky and the earth are covered with yellow sand, without any grass growing, and it is completely barren. And in this barren land, there are thousands of bones lying down. These white bones vary in size. The small ones are no more than a dozen feet, and the large ones are as huge as 10,000 feet. Just a rib is more than 10 feet thick and 100 feet high. Although half of the huge bones were buried by the yellow sand, those that were exposed on the ground looked like a huge white mountain. There are not many giant white bones like this that are 10,000 feet tall, and there are only 3 of them in the entire world. However, these 3 white bones have milky white bones. Although they are still dead, their bones are still strong and they are still standing. Looking at these giant bones shaped like snakes with 4 claws resurrected, there is no doubt that they are all dragon bones. And this big cauldron is where the bodies of the Longjiang Shui tribe are buried after death. Just like the ancestral tombs he had seen in the Nanzan cave in Mission Mountain. However, the defensive restrictions of the Dragon clan's tomb are undoubtedly extremely powerful. After all, they are almost full of treasures to practitioners. There are too many people who covet these powerful dragons, hoping to use their muscles and bones to practice magic weapons or refine elixirs. One long kill. After looking at the 3 relief etchings on the black giant cauldron, Su Junming thought to himself. Sure enough, this old dragon didn't have good intentions when he invited me here. In the giant cauldron named One Long Kill, the power of heaven and earth is extremely rich, almost no different than that of his Earth Emperor cave. If one falls into it, unless he is an immortal, he will be suppressed in an instant. Su Junming even suspected that ordinary immortals could not escape the suppression of One Long Kill. After all, this is the world that the Longjiang Shui tribe has cultivated for tens of thousands of years with the flesh and blood of countless dragons. When Su Junming realized this place of dragon sacrifice and burial, Ao Kun also made his final determination. Genren Su, behind this stone gate is where the treasure is hidden. Please come with me. Dragon King, please come first. Ao Kun nodded with a smile, took a step forward, and walked straight towards the stone door. After avoiding his sight, a 5-color spiritual light flew out of Su Junming's sleeves and disappeared next to him. Master Su, please. When Ao Kun came to the door, he was afraid that Su Junming would see some clues, so he shouted quickly. Su Junming smiled faintly and followed. Seeing this, Ao Kun flew with his fingers, and a stream of spiritual light flew into the stone door. Soon, a layer of dark blue ripples started from the middle of the 2 stone doors and gradually dissipated to the surroundings. Boom, the stone door opened. Real person, please. Ao Kun walked in first. Su Junming smiled and nodded, following closely behind. But the moment he entered, the forbidden method of the Dragon Clan cemetery was activated, the surrounding world was spinning, and the surrounding scenery soon changed drastically. A world filled with yellow sand and white bones, full of lifeless energy, appeared before his eyes. Obviously, he has fallen into the middle of One Long Kill. Ha ha ha. With an arrogant, proud laugh, Ao Kun's figure appeared in the air. Su Junming, I have tried so hard to finally get you under my control. He smiled lightly and looked at Ao Kun. What does Dragon King mean by this? What do you mean? Of course I want you to pay for my 9 sons' lives. Why did King Aolong say this? When did I kill your 9th prince? The reason why he put himself in danger and entered the One Long Kill was because he wanted to know what Ao Kun's purpose was. After all, although he has the soul-searching technique, he may not be able to obtain Ao Kun's soul completely. It would be bad if a potential enemy was missed. Moreover, he had long concealed the secret of killing Ao Shen. The den of foxes in Jinhua County also nested deep in Dahang Mountain and never came out. He was very curious, how did Ao Kun know about this? Su Junming, stop pretending. Now that things have happened, the matter of you killing my 9 sons has been known to the Imperial Master for a long time. National Master, is that Putu Sahang? Exactly. Su Junming smiled lightly. With just a few words from others, you can turn the spear against me. How did you, a stupid dragon, become the Dragon King? How dare you ridicule me? Ao Kun was furious. The wind and clouds surged in the One Long Kill, and the color of the sky and the earth changed. Isn't it true? You never thought that your 9 sons died in the hands of the devil Sahang. If you found out, you would rake up and pour the dirty water on me. Su Junming smiled. Ao Kun's heart moved. It's not impossible. But soon he remembered what Sahang once said. We, the Longjiang Shui tribe, have no grievances against the Imperial Master Sahang. Why did he want to kill my 9 sons? Moreover, in the entire cultivation world, who doesn't know that you, Su Junming, hate evil so much that you destroyed the Black Heart Demon sect for this reason? Only you can do that. You have the guts to kill my 9 sons without me, the huge force of the Longjiang Shui tribe. These words were told to you by the devil Sahang, right? Su Junming said calmly. So what? Su Junming, do you still want to deny it now? Deny? Oh, when did I ever think of denying it? He nodded. The devil is right, I did kill those 9 sons of yours. As for why he was killed, you, as an old man, know very well what kind of character your son is. He committed adultery, robbery, and countless killings. His sins are serious. For such a big disaster, it would be better to kill him as early as possible. Su, Jun, Ming, you are looking for death. Along with the extremely angry voice, the sky and the earth were turbulent. The vast power of heaven and earth turned into extremely powerful thunder, like an angry dragon from the 9 heavens, roaring and rushing straight down towards Su Junming. An 8-color pagoda with 8 layers and 8 corners flew out from Su Junming's head. At first it was only the size of a fingertip, but in an instant it turned into a giant thing thousands of feet tall. A mighty giant tower with a mighty aura. Boom! The astonishing sound of collision resounded throughout the cave world. The vast shock wave, like white lightning, swept across nearly 10,000 miles. Looking at the powerful pagoda, Aokun looked solemn. Fortunately, he made arrangements early and guided Su Junming to one long kill in advance. Otherwise, I might not be able to defeat him with just my own magic power and spiritual treasures. You have spiritual treasures. Our dragon clan has accumulated them for tens of thousands of years, so why don't we have treasures? The finger technique changed, and an octagonal copper hammer flew out from the Danshan. The copper hammer is surrounded by aura, the electric light flashes, and the atmosphere is extraordinary. Su Junming, look at my Mjolnir. As soon as the magic power is activated, the octagonal copper hammer instantly expands 1,000 times. It is as thick as the lightning in the river, like angry dragons, clinging to the giant hammer hundreds of feet. The blue and white aura is majestic and astonishing. Looking at the giant hammer flying through the air, Su Junming smiled faintly. Thunder Spirit Treasure, don't you think I am the one? Look at my thunder drum. Dong dong dong. Accompanied by the earth-shattering sound of the drum, a huge bronze drum as big as a mountain and embossed with a Kuei Niu pattern appeared in mid-air. Surrounded by countless thunders, the thunder drum is no less powerful than Mjolnir. This Thunder Dao spiritual treasure has been absorbing the evolution of thunder since Su Junming successfully practiced it, and it is already a spiritual treasure by now. Boom! The 2 thunderbolts collided together, as if 2 blue-purple rivers met, instantly arousing thousands of electric sparks, and the scattered thunder spread for hundreds of miles, reflecting the blue-purple sky, which was really beautiful. King Aolong, I have heard that the Longjiang aquatic tribe has 2 spiritual treasures, the dragon god flag and the Tianlong sword. Why not bring them out for Su to feast his eyes on? Aokun snorted coldly. Since you want to die, I will grant your wish. Choke. A sword cry resounded throughout the world. Then he saw a magnificent green sword light flying straight towards Su Junming. The sword energy is even stronger than the 4 swords he has refined to kill the immortal, kill the demon, and kill the sky. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 426. Chapter 419, Bone Divine Palm. Such a pure and powerful sword energy can be called a semi-immortal weapon. Su Junming looked solemn, stretched out his hand, and saw the 8-color aura of the 8 treasures pagoda, which merged into one stream, like an erupting volcano, heading straight towards the sword light. The dazzling light spans the sky and the earth. Following the thunder, the sword light was shattered by the 8-color spiritual light. Aokun was shocked when he saw the 8-color spiritual light crushing towards him. The Tianlong sword was once a top-notch immortal weapon. Although it has declined due to lack of spiritual energy, it is still the top spiritual treasure in this world. In this case, it is still not inferior to this pagoda, which makes Aokun somewhat unbelievable. Dragon God Flag. A loud aqua blue flag emerged from mid-air. The mighty sound of water shook the void. A strong current, like a river rolling back, blocked the 8-color aura. The Dragon God Flag is the same as the Tianlong sword. As the official treasure of the Longjiang Shui tribe, they have similar grades. And compared to the unparalleled killing power of the Tianlong sword, the Dragon God banner is well versed in the method of conquering strength with softness and has unparalleled defense. With a rumbling sound, the thick and turbulent water was shattered by the 8-color spiritual light. How can it be? Aokun exclaimed. Although he knew that the 8 treasures spiritual pagoda could block the power of heaven and earth from one long kill, so it must be extremely powerful. But it was still able to crush the heavenly dragon sword and the Dragon God Flag, which made him a little unbelievable. Seeing this scene, Su Junming smiled on his face. The 8 treasures pagoda contains 8 treasures. The Chuangguo jade seal, pure Yang Ruyi and the 8-foot mirror are all spiritual treasures of the 11th level of spiritual ban. The green bamboo staff, golden sword, seal, water bowl, and red flame flag are the spiritual treasures of the 10th level of spiritual ban. Although they are not as powerful as the heavenly dragon sword and the Dragon God Flag, the power they exert when working together and through the formation is earth-shattering, enough to suppress the heavenly dragon sword and the Dragon God Flag. He quickly used the power of heaven and earth from one long kill to suppress the 8-color aura. Humph. Even if your 8-color pagoda is amazingly powerful, it can't beat my one long kill. The hands move according to the heart, activating the magic power, and the mighty power of heaven and earth swarms in again. Su Junming stretched out his hand and pointed, and grains of yellow rice flew out, as if flowers were raining from the sky. Huangliang Dharma Realm. The beige aura that filled the sky swallowed up the power of heaven and earth from one long kill in one gulp. Although the Yimen Huangliang, an advanced spiritual treasure, was stripped of the laws of reincarnation by Su Junming, its power is still astonishing. The Huangliang Dharma realm is millions of miles long. Although it is only empty space, not heaven and earth, the power of Yimen Huangliang is still astonishing. After all, these are 365 spiritual treasures. What kind of spiritual treasure is this? Aokun was shocked by the power of the 365 grains of yellow rice, and his confidence in suppressing Su Junming was gradually lost. No, I have one long kill. No matter how powerful your spiritual treasure is, you are still no enemy of my one long kill. Aokun roared in his heart. He understood that if he failed in today's fight, he would probably die. So now, the only way is to abandon all scruples and work hard. Aokun took a deep breath. Shaking his body, he transformed into a body nearly 7,000 feet long, with a head like a cow, eyes like a shrimp, a mouth like a donkey, a belly like a snake, scales like a fish, feet like a phoenix, whiskers like a human, and ears like an elephant, but there was no horns, a giant blue dragon. This kind of dragon is called a Ilang, not a true dragon. Only by surviving the immortal tribulation can one become a heavenly dragon, the 5-clawed dragon familiar to China. Ouch! The earth-shattering dragon roar resounded thousands of miles away. Aokun, who transformed into a dragon body, became stronger again. Along with the dragon's roar, the entire one-long cave-dwelling sky trembled. The yellow sand is rolling and the white bones are trembling. A thunderous sound sounded from the ground. Su Junming, who noticed this movement, looked solemn. He understood that this was the old dragon's strongest move. Take back the treasures. Although they were strong, if Aokun gathered the power of heaven and earth from the entire one long kill, they would not be able to withstand it. It's okay to go to Daihuang Mountain, but there are countless people there, and there are countless spiritual roots and spiritual grasses he cultivated. Su Junming didn't want to hurt the spiritual roots he had worked so hard to cultivate because of a battle. Fortunately, my netherworld bone flag has also been repaired. The reason why he didn't touch the treasure just now was to let it absorb the 3 fragments he had obtained from Aokun before. Now that the refining is complete, the power of the nether bone flag has been increased to a higher level, and it is time to use it to defeat the enemy. Su Junming, I must kill you to avenge my son. Dragon Claw. The sky turned dark instantly, and a giant claw that was as huge as the heavens swooped down on Su Junming with an astonishing momentum. The distance was thousands of feet, and the strong pressure had knocked down the land around Su Junming by hundreds of feet. If it were true, I'm afraid that wherever he stood, the surrounding area would turn into dust within thousands of feet. Aokun. You don't practice virtue, and you commit crimes. God wants me to get rid of this evil dragon like you, so I asked you to return the lost fragments to me automatically, so that the power of my divine flag will be even greater. Today, I will do justice for heaven and kill you, the evil dragon. As soon as he finished speaking, a black mysterious light flew out from his dantian and turned into a huge black banner behind his back. This giant black flag flies automatically in the absence of wind. Although there are holes of all sizes and dozens of cracks on the flag, it seems as if it has been devastated by countless wars. But the aura revealed at this moment is earth-shattering. Aokun was shocked when he saw it. The aura of this giant black flag was too strong, surpassing the countless spiritual treasures he had seen. Immortal weapon. Impossible, how could you have an immortal weapon? This is no fairy weapon. Su Junming was full of momentum and waved the nether bone flag. Accompanied by the mighty aura of white bones, a white bone god and demon with a height of 10,000 feet appeared in the one long kill. The tyrannical bone aura penetrated the heaven and the earth. Su Junming stood on top of the skull of the bone god and demon. White bone divine palm. Under his urging, countless mountain-like giant palms of white bones flew out from behind the white bone god and demon and struck towards Aokun overwhelmingly. The power of each palm is comparable to the 8-color aura of the 8 treasures pagoda. At this moment, those heavy palm shadows may weigh no less than 1,000. Aokun's face changed horribly, and he quickly activated the power of heaven and earth from one long kill to resist. Bang bang bang. The thunderous sound echoed into the air. The protection formed by the power of heaven and earth was broken into pieces under the giant palm of white bones. Boom. Ouch. Along with the painful roar of the dragon, flesh and blood flew, and hot dragon blood spilled to the heaven and earth. In just a moment, Aokun's strong dragon body was reduced to minced meat. The dragon soul took the dragon beads and various spiritual treasures and escaped from the one long kill. Aokun, I've been waiting for you for a long time. Seeing the young man wearing a white robe not far away with a cold breath, Aokun instantly became alert. Who are you? I am the Dragon Emperor. With a flick of his hand, a big black bell flew out. Boom. The majestic sound waves, carrying a powerful soul-soothing power, rushed straight towards Aokun like lightning. Although he was on guard, Aokun, who had lost his body and lost strength, could not withstand the powerful soul-falling bell, which had 11 levels of spiritual restraint. In an instant, his breath was scattered, his soul was wandering, and he lost the power to resist. The Dragon Emperor pointed at the soul-falling bell, peeled Aokun's spirit from the dragon ball, and put it into the bell. The Tianlong sword, dragon god flag and Aokun dragon ball fell into his hands. A black hole appeared in the stone hall, and Su Junming's figure walked out of it. He waved his sleeves and took away the one long kill, looking at the Dragon Emperor who had been put outside by him in advance. Took it? The Dragon Emperor nodded. The soul was restrained by me in the soul-falling bell. With a wave of his hand, the heavenly dragon sword, dragon god flag and other treasures flew towards Su Junming. He held it in his hand and shook it. How many pieces won't you keep? You can't bite off more than you can chew. It's enough for me to have the great 5 elements divine light and the lost soul bell. When you get the innate spiritual treasure, it won't be too late to share it with me. Then you can wait longer. I can wait. Su Junming made a casual move, and the four-elephant sword formation that had previously been given to the Dragon Emperor to seal the Dragon clan's sacrificial place instantly flew into his hand. Let's go. Where to go? Asked the Dragon Emperor. Su Junming's face showed anticipation. The Dragon clan has many treasures. The Longjiang Shui clan has inherited it for tens of thousands of years, and has accumulated countless good things. It was just that before, but now I have become enemies with them, so of course I have to search hard. The Dragon Emperor nodded. I'm going to Coral Waterside Pavilion. Etc. Seeing his confused expression, Su Junming waved his hand. A silver mirror as clear as water flew towards the Dragon Emperor. The Coral Water Pavilion has gathered millions of volumes of books collected by the Longjiang Shui tribe over tens of thousands of years. Even if the restrictions are not as high as this sacrificial place, they are not much different. With the help of the 8-foot mirror, it is possible to get all the books without disturbing the Longjiang Shui tribe. After the Dragon Emperor nodded, he disappeared with the 8-foot mirror. After Su Junming went out, he fled straight towards the Dragon clan's treasure house. In the past month in the Dragon Palace, he had already discovered all the secrets here. The Dragon clan treasure house is naturally no exception. As for what treasures there are, Su Junming now knows all about them. Especially the 5-colored pine and the innate spiritual gold, which I have been coveting for a long time. When Aokun was holding back before, it was hard for him to take action, but now that he's done it, he has nothing to worry about. The nearly 100 spiritual treasures of the insight level were enough for him to refine all the several natal spiritual treasures in his hands into top-grade spiritual treasures. Even Yimen Huangliang, a big player in devouring spiritual materials, doesn't have to worry. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 427. Chapter 420 The Shrewd Aou. As soon as he came out of the Longjiang aquatic tribe's sacrificial place, Su Junming's keen spiritual sense detected a vague sense of voyeurism. My dear, have you noticed it too? Don't worry about it for the time being. With the cautious temperament of the demon monk, whoever comes here now is either his disciple or a clone. Killing him is insignificant. Let's get the things first. That's fine. 100 miles away from the river section where Longjiang Dragon Palace is located, there is an unknown hill no more than 100 meters high. The hills are overgrown with weeds and rocks, and snakes, insects, rats, and ants are hiding there. In this remote place, a middle-aged monk wearing red cassocks was making seals with his hands, muttering something in his mouth, and staring at the bronze mirror about 3 feet square in front of him. The content in the bronze mirror is clearly that of Su Junming, who came from the Dragon clan's sacrificial place. 2 people went in, but only 1 came out. The middle-aged monk's heart sank. It seems it failed. He patted the Dharma bag on his waist, and a jade talisman flew out from it. The middle-aged monk simply made a few seals and patted the jade talisman. The light flashed and the jade talisman returned to calm. With a wave of his hand, the jade talisman turned into a long sword and shot towards the north. After finishing this matter, he just breathed out and saw the man in the mirror looking straight in his direction. Those sharp eyes seemed to see him behind him through a bronze mirror. The middle-aged monk had a clever idea in his heart. He noticed my presence. Although he was very confident in his technique of microcosm in the mirror, when he thought of the situation just now and the rumors that Su Junming was proficient in the Huishan Taoist technique, the thought of escaping emerged uncontrollably from the bottom of his heart. Although Master told me to keep an eye on Su Junming's movements, now that I have been exposed, it is better to leave early. Thinking of this, the middle-aged monk did not dare to neglect, put away the bronze mirror, activated the escape light, and ran towards the northwest. "Prince, this is the list of gifts we gave back to the immortals after the grand gathering of the Dragon Palace." A rich, short, fat old man handed 2 pages of paper to Aou's hand. "The Dragon Palace is rich and well known throughout the world. Therefore, after the people who participated in the immortal meeting left this time, the Dragon Palace would give 1 or 2 souvenirs. Or spiritual fruit, or elixir, to name a few. The things are not too precious, but they can effectively expand Dragon Palace's connections." Aou took it, looked at it briefly, and returned it. "Just do it like this, Prime Minister Gui will be in trouble. This is the duty of the old minister." Suddenly, an illusory red sword flew toward you from outside, turned into a jade talisman, and slowly fell into Aou's palm. Aou's face suddenly changed as his spiritual consciousness penetrated him. Although he was very curious about the content of the flying sword's message, Prime Minister Gui still wisely handed it over. "If the prince has nothing to explain, then the veteran will resign." "I'm fine. Prime Minister, just take care of yourself." Prime Minister Turtle stood up and bowed before retreating. When his back disappeared, Aou stepped back, and with a wave of his hand, he activated the restrictions in his palace. Looking at the contents of the jade talisman, Aou's face showed a happy look. Father, you have always wanted to pass on the title of Dragon King of the Longjiang Shui tribe to Laoju, but it's a pity that he doesn't have that fate. Now that you are dead, no one can stop me from ascending to the position of Dragon King." Holding the jade talisman, Aou's heart was surging. But after calming down, his brows instantly wrinkled. "No, I have heard that Master Chongshan Su Junming hates evil and is determined to kill. If he is determined to eradicate the Longjiang Shui tribe." Strong anxiety rose from the bottom of my heart. After finally seeing the hope of sitting on the throne of the Dragon King of the Longjiang Shui tribe, he must not give up just yet. Furthermore, if my father falls into his hands, the treasures of the Longjiang Shui tribe, the heavenly dragon sword and the dragon god flag, will inevitably be taken away by him. Without these 2 treasures, I'm afraid I won't be able to secure my position as Dragon King. Although he is the strongest among the many princes, if other princes unite, his chances of winning are very low. If one masters the heavenly dragon sword and the dragon god flag, and masters the great righteousness, the situation will naturally be different. Master Chongshan Su Junming," Aou said slowly. "For him now, the most important thing is to convince this person, preferably to gain his support." After pacing back and forth in the hall for more than a dozen times and struggling for a long time, Aou's expression became determined. "The only choice is to hand over that information. Anyway, after all these years, I have not been able to succeed, so there is no use in keeping it in my hands." After thinking clearly about the joints, Aou opened the palace ban. After a moment of hesitation, he walked towards Chaiki Palace where the Dragon Palace guests were. As the person in charge of this grand gathering of immortals in the Dragon Palace, the Grand Prince of the Dragon Palace, he knows exactly where every guest in the Dragon Palace lives. Soon, I arrived at the coral waterside pavilion where Su Junming stayed. Looking at the calm waterside pavilion, Aou straightened his clothes and said respectfully, "Aou, the eldest prince of Dragon Palace, would like to see Master Chongshan." There was silence for a while, but Aou did not dare to get up. After a long time, a calm voice came. "Come in." "Thank you, Masato." Looking at the open door, Aou lowered his hands and stepped in. Arriving at the hall, Aou looked at the young Taoist priest sitting cross-legged and wearing a green shirt, and he quickly bowed and saluted. Aou pays homage to Master Chongshan, Master Jinan. Looking at Long Zi, who was polite and even a bit reserved, Su Junming also guessed his purpose. Did he already know that I killed his father? Su Junming was not sure either. "Prince, please sit down." Thank you, Masato. He carefully sat down on the futon next to him. I wonder why the prince came here this time. Master, this grand gathering of immortals in the Dragon Palace is coming to an end, and I, the Dragon Palace, have some gifts to give you. After saying that, he patted the magic bag, and with the support of his magic power, a jade box flew to Su Junming. There were no restrictions on it, so Su Junming opened it and took a look. 12 red jade fruits, 9 spiritual magpie grass, 3 white flower pills, and a ball of moon spirit water. Spirit fruits, spiritual herbs, and elixirs are all cave-level treasures. The moon soul spiritual water is indeed a true insight-level spiritual object. Although there are only 3 drops, it is also extremely valuable. Does everyone participating in this Dragon Palace Immortals meeting have these things? Of course not. Apart from a few Yuan-Shen cultivators, the Taoist friends who attended this meeting only had 1 red jade fruit and 3 Beiwadan as gifts. Although the gifts of the Taoist friends who were Yuan-Shen cultivators were thicker, they didn't have any. Moon spirit water. Oh, then why do I have this? Su Junming said calmly. Aou has always respected the real person who slays demons and upholds justice. When the real person set up an array in Tianmen Mountain outside Zhongzhou City to recruit disciples, Aou also tried it, but unfortunately he only experienced 197 illusory formations. If you fail, you won't have the chance to become a real disciple. After saying that, Aou suddenly knelt down. Aou dare not expect to become the true successor of Genren's section. I hope that Zhen will take pity on Aou and accept me as a registered disciple. Yu Po Lingshui will become Aou's disciple and cultivate. Su Junming frowned. The scene in front of him was really beyond his expectation. He originally thought that Aou was here to check his reputation, but he didn't expect that he was here to become a disciple. Just as he was about to speak, the change in Aou's expression suddenly appeared in his mind. Wrong. Activate the Destiny Talisman in Danshan and calculate the secrets with the help of the secret divine ball. Gradually, a hint of enlightenment arose in Su Junming's heart. Looking at Aou who was kneeling on the ground, Su Junming narrowed his eyes. You know I killed your father. Aou's body was shaken violently, and all kinds of thoughts in his mind were spinning rapidly. The idea of worshipping Su Junming as his registered disciple was something he came up with on the way here. If he succeeds, with this powerful teacher behind him, he can instantly secure his position as the Dragon King of the Longjiang Water Tribe. After taking a deep breath and analyzing the pros and cons, Aou said in a deep voice. Yes. I thought to myself, sure enough. How did you know? My disciple has some friendship with Puxin, a direct disciple of Daong Master Sahang. 3 months ago, he suddenly came to visit and told me that it was the real person who killed Ao Shen, and my father was ready to fight with the real person and declare for Ao Shen. Chiu Suihen. At that time, regardless of the success or failure of the battle, as long as I am willing to worship Sahang as my master, he will help me ascend to the position of Dragon King of the Dragon Clan. Just now, he suddenly flew his sword and sent a message to inform me that my father was defeated and asked me to prepare in advance. Su Junming said calmly, in that case, why don't you follow his instructions and become a disciple of Sahang and ascend to the position of Dragon King of the Longjiang Water Tribe? Instead, you plan to become a disciple of me, the enemy who killed your father. The one long kill of the Longjiang Shui tribe is located where the Dragon Palace's restrictions are strongest. Coupled with the strength of my father, unless he is an immortal, he can be killed in an instant. But a real person can walk out of it safely. It can be seen that his strength is profound and he is already at the top of this world. In comparison, although Master Sahang is known as the national master, his strength is not comparable to that of Genren's defeated general, the supreme elder of Chongyang Dao who has transformed into a corpse in golden armor. In this case, it is natural that it would be more promising to become a disciple of the real person. Glanced at him. I'm afraid it's not just that, right? If you worship me as your master, you can always be by my side. When I let down my guard, you can hit me with one strike and avenge your father's death. Genren Rong is endowed with talent, and Aou has no intention of revenge. Aou said quickly. He waved his hand to interrupt him. No need to say more. I will not accept you as my disciple, just go. Although Su Junming saw that Aou was telling the truth, people's hearts are fickle, and so is the devil's heart. A person who doesn't even care about his father's hatred and only thinks about himself will not be accepted into his family no matter what. Aou's expression changed continuously. Although the first step of the plan failed, he still had a second step. After taking a deep breath, he stabilized his mind. It is the biggest regret of Aou's life that he did not have the opportunity to become a disciple of Genren. However, Aou has a big secret here. As long as Genren is willing to return the Tian Longsword and Dragon God flag to me, I am willing to give the secret to him. Secret? What secret? Su Junming asked with interest. The location of the ancient Dragon Palace. Ancient Dragon Palace. Exactly. Our Longjiang Dragon clan was a branch of the ancient Dragon Palace back then. It was only during the ancient war between hundreds of clans that the Dragon Palace was destroyed, so we moved to Longjiang. Become a disciple of Taoist priest Four Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 428. However, according to the records of our Longjiang Shui tribe, when the Dragon Court was destroyed, the Dragon King at that time used the supreme magic power to sink into the abyss of the East China Sea. Countless Dragon Court treasures were also buried together. And with his last cultivation level, covering up the secret of heaven. So, tens of thousands of years after the ancient war, although countless people have wanted to find the location of the East China Sea Dragon Court, no one has ever succeeded. But, I know how to accurately find the location of the Dragon Court. As long as the real person is willing to return the Tian Longsword and the Dragon God flag to me, and help me ascend to the position of Dragon King of Longjiang, I am willing to help the real person find the location of the ancient Dragon Court, and start a journey among them. There are countless treasures accumulated by the Dragon clan. Aou was eloquent and looked confident. The legend of the ancestral court of the East China Sea Dragon clan has been popular in the entire cultivation world for tens of thousands of years. After being beautified by countless people, the ancient Dragon Palace is a treasure house where spiritual treasures are not as good as dogs, and fairy weapons are everywhere. As for those who practice Buddhism, no one wants to get a share of the pie. He believed Su Junming was the same. Finished. Seeing Su Junming's calm expression, Aou felt a little nervous. It's impossible for him not to be moved. The calmness is just an act. Yes. Su Junming waved his hand, and with an irresistible wave, Aou was involuntarily swept up and flew out of the waterside pavilion. Deng, 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 he took a few steps back until he didn't fall to the ground. Do you think you can negotiate terms with me in a grand manner just by virtue of being able to go to the ancient Dragon Palace? The reason why I won't kill you is because although you have resentment, you still have great merits. Otherwise, I will behead you and get out. Bar. Aou clenched his fists, with hatred in his eyes. After a long while, he took a deep breath and bowed. Thank you for not killing me, the real person. Aou will retire. At this moment in the room, Su Huang, dressed in a white dress, walked out of the side room. Master, that Aou has a fierce look on his face. If he ignores it, I'm afraid there will be disaster in the future. That's why I left him to you, Su Junming said calmly. Su Huang was stunned for a moment, then nodded. Huang understands, I'm going to kill him right now. Go ahead. Disciple, resign. Su Huang reincarnated and flew out. Su Junming's eyes were cold. Although there were many good demons in the Longjiang aquatic tribe, they were indeed a very small number among them. This time he came to participate in the Dragon Palace Immortals Grand Meeting. In addition to broadening his horizons, his intention was to completely eradicate the strongest demon clan in Longjiang and earn a fortune for himself. At the beginning, the Longjiang Shui tribe treated him with great respect, but he was still a little worried about taking action. Now that Aokun has colluded with Sahang and wants to take his life, there is nothing to say. Kill. The fingers moved slightly, and more than a dozen streams of light flew out of the sleeves, flying straight towards the Dragon Palace. In an instant, the entire Dragon Palace was boiling. Who are you? Dare to kill people in my Dragon Palace? Why don't you just surrender and capture me? Before a dragon could finish speaking, he was cut in half by a powerful sword light. Before the body fell, it was swallowed by a strong force and was put into the gourd. The puppet Qin Mo, holding the Tianlong sword, went straight towards the next target. Boom! The endless ice tide rushed forward overwhelmingly. But everything is covered by it, so everything is frozen. The strong cold air forced Aou to retreat continuously. With an ugly face, he knew that he was no match for Su Huang, so he retreated and went straight to Yagayun. Fellow Taoist, help! Yagayun saw the scene in front of him with a solemn expression, looking at Su Huang, who was riding the cold wave and surrounded by ice aura. Fellow Taoist Su, what does this mean? The teacher has an order to kill Aou. Su Huang said coldly. Brother Yadao, Su Junming is greedy for the treasures of our dragon clan. He wants to destroy our Longjiang Shui clan and seize my treasures. Please ask the Xianjing division to save my life for the sake of the good relationship between our two families for many years, Aou, he said quickly. Yagayun's expression changed. Does fellow Taoist Su Huang have something to do with this? Humph. Ao Shen, the ninth prince of the Longjiang Shui tribe, was raped by our master. He was caught by our master and beheaded on the spot. And the Dragon King Aokun wanted to avenge his son and murdered our master, but he was not strong enough and was beheaded by our master on the spot. Now the two sides are already at odds with each other. If Daiuye doesn't want to die here, it's best not to get involved. Yagayun's pupils shrank. Fellow Taoist Su killed Aokun. Fellow Taoist, don't listen to her nonsense, these are all excuses made up by Su Junming, Aou said quickly. Yagayun took a deep breath. May I ask where fellow Taoist Su is? My mentor is here. Before Su Huang finished speaking, he felt an extremely majestic momentum being released, and the tyrannical will contained in it was earth-shattering. The entire Dragon Palace was shrouded in it. Today, I, Su Junming, want to destroy the Longjiang Shui tribe. I will kill all the demons with resentment. Anyone who helps the demons will be killed as my enemy. The sound was loud, everyone heard it, and their expressions suddenly changed. Aou's face turned grim. Seeing more and more Dragon Palace guests gathering, Aou shouted desperately, Su Junming, you are greedy for the treasures of my Dragon Palace and want to destroy our Longjiang aquatic tribe. I, Aou, will never give up on you. Snort. With a cold snort, Su Huang urged the Donghua fan. The mighty ice energy was like a rolling ocean tide, overwhelmingly crushing towards Aou. Yagayun moved his fingers, with hesitation on his face, but finally sighed and didn't take action again. Aou urged a sea blue flag in her hand and waved it suddenly. The sound of water surged and turned into a mighty water dragon, heading straight towards the cold air. As soon as the two sides touched, Aou's water flow was instantly frozen. The Donghua fan is a top-notch spiritual treasure that Su Junming spent more than 10 years collecting and cultivating from the endless cold air in the eyes of the North Sea. It is powerful and wonderful. Damn it! After cursing secretly, he urged Lingbao and ran away quickly. Walking and shouting. Everyone, I, the Longjiang Shui tribe, have been friends with you for many years. How can you bear to watch Su Junming abuse you without lending a helping hand? How can you still dare to call yourself the righteous way? Amitabha. The mighty golden Buddha light blocked the ice aura of the Donghua fan. Dozens of spiritual lights shot out to protect Aou. Master Xingkong also wants to interfere in our grudges with the Longjiang aquatic tribe, Su Huang said coldly. After putting his palms together and saying the Buddha's name, the monk Xingkong lowered his eyebrows. The old monk didn't want to be implicated in the cause and effect, but because of my Buddhist compassion, boundless killings would come to this place of the Dragon Palace. Although the old monk was left with a broken body, he had to take action. I also ask fellow Taoists Su Huang and Zhenren Chongshan to stop for now. The Wrath of Thunder. The original work of the old monk makes peace with the old man, making up for the cause and effect for both parties. Just as Su Huang was about to speak, his expression suddenly changed. Not just her, but the expressions of everyone present changed. In the sky above the Dragon Palace, rapids surged and the sound of water was loud. Along with the water flowing like a river, a giant god with a height of 1,000 feet, 12 heads, thousands of arms stretched out from behind, muscles all over his body, and an astonishing momentum, condensed and took shape. What an amazing spirit! The old monk Xingkong was shocked. 12 pairs, 24 eyes. The old monk Xingkong instantly felt a powerful pressure coming over him, and it seemed that it was difficult to breathe for a while. Not only him, but also the people next to him who wanted to protect Aou. Amitabha Divine Palm. Monk Xingkong's face changed drastically, and with a burst of magic power, a golden lotus flew out from the Baihui point on the top of his head, shrouding him in a dense light. Boom boom. Accompanied by the thunderous sound of breaking wind, countless giant palms measuring hundreds of feet in size were struck down like lightning. In an instant, the world was turned upside down and the rivers stopped flowing. Thousands of giant palms struck down, and the place where the Dragon Palace was located was completely reduced to ruins. A large pit dozens of miles wide and 10 miles deep took its place. The tens of thousands of demon troops stationed in the Dragon Palace, as well as those who took action to protect Aou, except for their merits and deeds, such as Monk Xingkong, the rest were turned into meat by Su Junming. Witnessing this destructive scene, looking at the gigantic figure that was thousands of feet tall, like an ancient giant, those who did not take action secretly swallowed, and were deeply grateful that they did not get carried away for a moment. Wow! A mouthful of light golden blood spurted out. Monk Xingkong looked at the golden lotus of mercy, his life treasure, with a slightly narrowed breath, and his heart ached. I don't know how long it will take to recover from such an injury. But looking at that astonishing soul and recalling the overwhelming giant palm, even if he wanted to regain his position, he was unable to do so. After putting away the Taoist method, Su Junming waved his hand and was trapped in the middle by Yimen Huangliang. The violently churning river water was instantly taken away by him. If it hadn't been for the protection of this spiritual treasure just now, the churning river would have flooded and flooded both sides of the river for hundreds of miles. He didn't want to cause such a big cause and effect. Huang. Su Huang quickly bowed and saluted. Master. I'll leave this to you. After you're done, come back and report back to me. Yes. Su Junming's heart moved, and the giant god incarnated by Yuan Shen suddenly turned into a stream of light, shocking the sky, and flew straight towards Zhongzhou city, thousands of miles away. Only then did the remaining people who participated in the Dragon Palace Immortals Association heave a sigh of relief. Fellow Taoists Su, your master's cultivation is truly earth-shattering. The white-haired fairy Yunmei said with a hint of fear in her admiration. The overwhelming giant palm just now was really scary. Its astonishing power can turn even a giant mountain into flat ground. My master's cultivation is naturally the best in the world. Su Wang's face showed pride. But soon a coldness replaced it, looking at those people who were seriously injured by the master but not dead. If you still plan to come forward, then fight with me. Looking at the powerful Su Huang who controlled the ice energy, everyone looked at me and I looked at you, but no one responded. They were all beaten by Su Junming's infinite palm just now, and they lost the courage to provoke. As for helping Aou before, he just wanted to intervene in this conflict to see if he could get some benefits from it. Now that the plan has failed, no one is willing to take the risk of moralization again. Shua. A ray of light flew up and headed into the distance. If there is one, then there will be two, and slowly the nascent soul cultivators present all fly away. Only Yegayun, Yunmei and Monk Xingkong are left here. Sister, if you have time, go to my wedding island and spend a few days. I will treat you kindly, sister, Yunmei said with a smile. Sister, please be at ease. If you have time tomorrow, I will go and bother you. Then sister will leave first. Yunmei smiled, looked at the ruins in front of her, and sighed inwardly. The Longjiang aquatic tribe, which was once famous and existed for tens of thousands of years, was just wiped out. After she left, Yegayun pursed his lips, and the words turned into a long sigh. Why this? He also left. Master Xingkong, what about you? Amitba, please tell the master, don't forget to refine the treasure for me at White Horse Temple. Su Huang originally wanted to say something sarcastic, but changed his words when he reached his lips. Master, since you thought of asking my master to refine treasures for you at White Horse Temple, why did you stop it just now? Amitba, the old monk just doesn't want to kill more people. After saying that, he clasped his palms together, his figure slowly faded and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Seeing his retreating light, Su Huang snorted coldly. This old monk is such a flexible person. No wonder he can take the position of head of the White Horse Temple Buddhist temple. I saw these people were gone. Su Huang urged the Donghua fan, and with a violent wave, countless remains of the dragon palace were put away by it. Although these things are of little use to her, they are also spiritual materials for practicing, and they are rich in spiritual energy. They are indeed excellent for practicing her own Dharma realm. Become a disciple of Taoist priest for us. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 429. A sky-shattering rainbow spanned thousands of miles and came to the top of the capital, turning into a gigantic body thousands of feet tall. Mortals cannot see this scene, but practitioners with spiritual consciousness can see it clearly. He moved the bronze mirror and looked at the old monk in yellow robes who was deep in the palace. Sahang, don't you want to kill me? I'm here. Do you dare to come out and fight with me like a demon monk? Staring at the powerful soul in mid-air, Master Sahang's eyes showed a trace of solemnity. He has killed Ao-kun. Yes, Master. The disciple can see clearly through the phantom technique in the mirror. Su Junming and Ao-kun entered the Dragon Clan ancestral hall together, but he was the only one who walked out in the end. Sahang's pupils shrank and he said slowly, is this person's cultivation really so tyrannical? The middle-aged monk next to him didn't dare to answer. Sahang, you are a big centipede pretending to be a national master. It was the great Yang monarch and his ministers who were so frightened that they allowed you to steal the temple. However, you, a majestic Yuan Shen demon, could not bear to be provoked by me. This also surprised me. Strange. Maybe you were born as a tortoise in your previous life and that's why you are so tolerant. The loud voice was full of ridicule and contempt. Damn it, how dare you tease me? Sahang was furious, but he had no intention of going out. Ao-kun's cultivation was not inferior to it, and many Dragon Clan treasures were killed by Su Junming on the spot. If he didn't have the tens of millions of people in Zhongzhou City and the dragon energy of the dynasty to protect him, he would probably be killed by the opponent. Su Junming scoffed for a moment and sighed secretly when he saw that Sahang refused to leave the city. Looking at the luck golden dragon entrenched above Zhongzhou City, I thought about it and didn't bother him after all. This golden dragon contains the luck and thoughts of hundreds of millions of people throughout the ages. If it is destroyed by force, hundreds of millions of sentient beings will be shaken, and the karma will be so great that even immortals cannot bear it. Thinking back to the time when King Zhou wrote love poems to appease Nuwa, the Empress Nuwa, as a saint, did not dare to directly destroy the Shang dynasty. Instead, she wanted to use the three demons of Xianyu and Tomb to ruin the luck of the Shang dynasty. It can be seen from this that although the human dynasties are different from immortals and mortals, they are not completely powerless to resist. Although Daong's power was far different from that of the Shang dynasty, he, Su Junming, was not a saint. That's alright, I'll let you be free for a while longer. In the future, when you go against the grain and turn into a dragon by devouring the great destiny, I'll deal with you again. After the thought fell, his body swayed and flew straight towards Longjiang. Although he destroyed the dragon palace, tens of thousands of miles away from the dragon river, there are still a large number of dragon sons, dragon grandsons, and demon armies that are still unknown. Now that we have decided to eliminate the Longjiang monster clan, we naturally have to uproot them without leaving any future troubles. Looking at the retreating figure, Master Sahang breathed a sigh of relief even though he was extremely angry. Su Junming, the day I master the 9 transformations dragon art will be the day you die. Click it. A fine blue and white porcelain tea bowl was crushed to pieces by Sahang. The Longjiang aquatic tribe was wiped out. In just 3 days, the extremely powerful Longjiang Aqua tribe, which once dominated Daong and stood side by side with the White Horse Temple, Kunlun sect, and Xianjing division, and had hundreds of thousands of demon troops, melted instantly like snowflakes under the bright sun. Longjiang has never been as peaceful as it is now. Chongshan Master Su Junming once again resounded throughout the world of spiritual practice. This person has not made a move for decades since he destroyed the Black Heart demon cult. Now, as soon as he takes action, he destroys the Longjiang Shui tribe, which is as famous as the Black Heart demon cult. 2 of Daong's 5 great cultivation strengths have been destroyed by his hands. The illustrious reputation accumulated through the lives of hundreds of thousands of monsters and demon cultivators has completely made Su Junming a being in the cultivation world who can stop children from crying at night. Now, the man who destroyed Longjiang is sitting in the quiet room of Monk Xingkang in the head courtyard of Bama Temple Buddhist Temple with a smile on his face. Master Su, please take a look. This is the Kongming stone collected by our company. Monk Xingkang handed over a wooden box, opened the lock on it, and revealed a green-black stone about the size of a watermelon, oval, with black light spots on the surface and a black halo. His spiritual consciousness clearly sensed the innate space spiritual power that was as thick as the sea. When I activated the bronze mirror, I saw that there was a wisp of pale white in the middle of the stone, representing a higher level of innate Taishi space spiritual power. Obviously, if he has enough cultivation and enough spiritual energy to support him, he can use this treasure to refine an immortal weapon. However, according to the concentration of spiritual energy in this world, there is definitely no chance of refining an immortal weapon. As expected, it's Kong Akashi, an innate spiritual material. As a weapon refiner, Su Junming's favorite thing is this kind of top-notch spiritual object. Amitabha after a Buddha's name attracted Su Junming's attention, Monk Xingkang continued, Master Su has inspected the spiritual materials and there are no problems. I wonder when to start refining the treasures. Don't worry, Master. Within 3 years, I will definitely develop a high-grade spatial spiritual treasure and hand it over to the White Horse Temple. Does Genren Su really mean what he said? Never lie. Monk Xingkang nodded. There is one more thing. The old monk hopes that almsgiver Su can comply. What's the matter? You will stay in our company during the 3-year refining period. Su Junming frowned. Why is this? Master, can't you trust me as a person? Master Su has a high moral character and integrity, so the poor monk will naturally not distrust him. It's just that the Kongming stone is a treasure of our temple, and the sages have left instructions to never let this treasure leave our company for even half a step. That's why the old monk made such a request. After a pause, the old monk Xingkong's eyes were firm and direct. If Master Su feels that it is inappropriate, although the old monk is extremely reluctant to give up, he has to end this treasure refining and return Amitabha Sacred Mountain to Master Su. The implication is that Su Junming also wants to return the Bodhi golden lotus he got originally to the White Horse Temple. Can't you be accommodating? Su Junming said calmly. Amitabha, even the old monk dare not go beyond the rules set by the sages of White Horse Temple. I hope Master Su will forgive me. Judging from his tone, it was obvious that if he did not agree to his conditions and stayed at White Horse Temple to worship the Kong Akashi, he would rather void the previous deal than compromise. However, he has cultivated the Bodhi golden lotus in the lotus pond in the backyard of Chongshan residence. And he also likes this degraded immortal root. If the deal was cancelled, the golden lotus would have to be returned, and Su Junming felt a little reluctant to part with it. He groaned for a long time. Master, I have a plan here that can bridge the differences between you and me. Oh, I wonder if Master Su has any good ideas. Su Junming opened his palms, and a bronze mirror flew out. This realm is called the Eight-Child Mirror, and it is a Hushan spiritual treasure with 11 spiritual restrictions. I am willing to give this treasure to Bama Temple, and Bama Temple will give me the Kongming stone. In this way, Bama Temple does not need to wait for 3 years to obtain a top-grade spiritual treasure with greater power. I wonder what Master's intention is. Monk Xingkong's eyes couldn't help but be attracted to the bronze round mirror in Su Junming's palm. The mysterious Hushan spiritual energy and overflowing spiritual pressure were exactly the Hushan spiritual treasure he had always longed for. Moreover, this bronze round mirror is of a higher grade and more powerful than what was requested before. Monk Xingkong showed joy on his face. Genren Su, can you give the old monk a taste of this scene? Su Junming smiled calmly. Nature. With a wave of his hand, the 8-foot mirror flew into the hands of Monk Xingkong with a faint spiritual light. The latter was held in the palm of his hand, soaked in consciousness, and soon the snow-white eyebrows and beard began to tremble, and an uncontrollable joy appeared on his face. This 8-foot mirror is indeed what Su Junming said. It is a Hushan Lingbao with 11 spiritual restrictions. It is powerful and unparalleled. Opening his eyes, his skinny hand subconsciously grasped the mirror in his hand. Can Genren Su's previous words be taken seriously? Su Junming nodded. In that case, let's follow the real person's words. Exchange. Su Junming smiled and said, wise choice. The deal was concluded when a pact was made with each other. Looking at the empty stone in his hand, Su Junming nodded secretly with satisfaction. Although the 8-foot mirror is rare, its potential has been exhausted. Moreover, this treasure was obtained from Su Fu when he was in the Chinese world. It was not practiced by him. Although it was powerful, it always felt that it was not easy to get hold of. Of course, if he only hangs out in the world of Liuzai, the power of this baby will be enough. This is why Monk Xingkong agreed to the exchange. An 11th level treasure, the Hushan Lingbao, is already the top treasure in the world. It is enough for use in an era when immortality is not available. However, for people like Su Junming who aspire to become immortals, it is far from enough. Therefore, he would rather choose Kong Akashi, who has greater potential, rather than the 8-foot mirror, which has exhausted its potential. After getting what he wanted, Su Junming declined Monk Xingkong's offer to stay and left the White Horse Temple. After the Daihuang Mountain Cave Heaven swallowed up the Wanlong Kill, the area of the first Taishi Cave Heaven has reached 119,900 miles. It could have been bigger, but just as Taishi Cave Heaven continued to move towards 120,000 miles, a heavy calamity aura surged into my heart. There is no doubt that when the area of Taishi Cave reaches 120,000 miles, it will be the time for it to survive the catastrophe. If you can get by, you can achieve a small world. If you can't get through it, it will be ruined. The suddenly growing Taishi Cave heaven had insufficient foundation, and Su Junming did not dare to allow it to overcome the disaster rashly, so he directed the excess power of the world after devouring the Wanlong Kill to the second-level Taiyuan Cave heaven. Now the world where the palace treasure tree is placed is more than 20,000 miles away, which is considered extremely huge. The palace has a treasure tree on the top floor, and the mountains are in the backyard. In a pool of turbid spring, 5 white lotuses and 1 golden lotus floated. Next to it are 2 pine trees, 1 tall and 1 short. The tall pine trees stand tall and straight, giving off an unruly air. The short pine trees have fluffy crowns, sparkling with colors, and exuding a beautiful atmosphere. Of the 2 pine trees, the former is a branch of the immortal root he got from the southern sect of Mission when he was in the Chinese world, and it is named Guji Gong. The other one was obtained from the Dragon Clan's treasure house and was named Colorful Brocade, also called the 5-colored spirit pine. Not far from the adjacent pine tree, a red spiritual bamboo grew vigorously. Next to it grew a small bamboo 2 feet high and a bamboo shoot. Various spiritual roots embellish the backyard of Chongshan residence with vitality and endless mystery. Su Junming was sitting cross-legged in the pavilion by the pool, with his hands folded, palms upward. Densely packed yellow rice grains were swirling and flying, and in the center of countless rice grains was a purple-black stone the size of an apple. After a long time, the flying rice grains stopped. Su Junming slowly opened his eyes, and with a casual move, the rice grains circled around the palm of his hand like a snake, and then disappeared into the palm of his hand. Looking at the remaining stones in his right palm, he nodded with satisfaction. This stone is the Kongming stone he got from the monk Xingkong of Beima Temple. Although this was an innate spiritual material, Su Junming did not use it to refine it into a new spiritual treasure. Instead, he uses the extremely rich innate Taisu space aura within to practice his Yimen Guangliang as his own spiritual treasure that entrusts his space path and soul path. The profound Yimen Huangliang advances more slowly than other spiritual treasures. Now that there are spiritual materials that can help it improve quickly, it is natural to use it. Although it is easier for him to train the Kongmingshi sacrifice into a spiritual treasure alone. However, spirituality is more valuable than essence. One of the spiritual treasures of the space Dao is enough for him. With a thought in his heart, he removed the protective restrictions of Chongshan residence. Come in. Su Huang, wearing a long white dress and a cool temperament, walked in. Master, are you looking for me? Sit. After nodding, Su Huang sat down on an empty futon next to him. How are you getting along with those 2 little guys? A gentle smile appeared on Su Huang's cold and pretty face. Qingfeng has a calm mind, excellent talent, and good understanding. He can pass on my mantle in the future. My younger sister Yueqi is innocent and innocent. Although her aptitude and understanding are not inferior to those of Sister Nai, she has a loose nature. She should be disciplined and she will become a great person in the future. Su Junming smiled and nodded. As a master, it's good that you know what's going on. Opening his palm, 2 beads exuding cold air slowly flew out. Qingfeng and Yueqi are the first 3rd-generation disciples under my section. They have outstanding talents and will inherit my Chongshan lineage in the future, so I, as the master, can't help but express my gratitude. These 2 I-Soul divine beads were made by me using Aokun's dragon beads and another Yuanchen level dragon bead obtained from the Dragon Clan's treasure house. They are both spiritual treasures. It's up to you to be the master. Leave it to them, and it is up to them to choose whether it is a natal spiritual treasure or a guardian spiritual treasure in the future. Su Huang took the orb respectfully. I'll take Qingfeng and Yueqi, thank you master. After nodding slightly. I will go overseas to explore the secrets of the ancient dragon court, and I will probably pass by Wuting Island in the East China Sea. Since you have a good relationship with the white-haired fairy Yunmei, are you willing to go with me? Su Junming, who used Yi Meng Huangliang to spy out the secrets of the ancient dragon court from Ao Kan Yuan Shen, planned to go and find out. Su Huang pondered for a moment and shook his head. Qingfeng and Yueqi are young and lack concentration. I have to be by their side to encourage them at all times. Moreover, now is the time when they are taking root, so they must be especially strict. I don't want to delay their cultivation. Su Junming nodded. At the beginning, he promised Fu Yun that he would let Fu Qingfeng and Fu Yueqi go home every 7 days to visit their relatives. Without this provision, Su Huang would not have to stay in Jinhua. In that case, you should stay in Jinhua Chongshan residence and teach them well. Yes. After responding, Master is going to find the ancient dragon court. When will he be back? Su Junming thought for a moment. Whether I find the ancient dragon court or not, I have to travel a lot, and I will also go to Daki in the middle. So I don't know when I can go back. Maybe a few years, maybe decades. In Daong, besides practicing hard in seclusion, he could find nothing to do. But outside of Daong, there is the even larger Daki, as well as countless small countries, and an even bigger ocean. He planned to travel a bit, seek opportunities, and also experience the scenery of this world. Look at Su Huang. During my absence, you should practice hard and don't slack off. If you encounter difficulties that cannot be solved, just crush this jade talisman. With a wave of his hand, a green jade talisman appeared in Su Huang's hand. After looking at it briefly, he put it away. If nothing happens, you can go back to Jinhua. Disciple resigns. After she left, a man with a cool temperament similar to Su Huang, but with the appearance of a boy, walked out of the next room. Have you given all the instructions? Su Junming nodded. After I leave, Daong will be left to you. With the wonder of my 5 elements divine light, Sahang's centipede will definitely die if he leaves Zhongzhou city. The dragon emperor nodded. Su Junming smiled lightly. The Dharma realm of Daihuang Mountain and the many puppet bodies are also left to you. It is up to you to worry about accumulating merit and educating the disciples of Chongshan Academy. The dragon emperor frowned, but finally nodded. I'm going back to my hometown today. I only have 1 chapter for now. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 430. Arriving at the Tiangong Hall, the 100-foot-tall Tiangong divine furnace was filled with flames. In the spacious pagoda-shaped hall, the fragrant aroma of elixir fills the heart. There is a lotus throne directly above the alchemy furnace, and an old monk with white beard and hair, wearing a green robe, sits cross-legged on it. This old monk is the puppet body's Hekong monk who was trained by Su Junming and has the highest level of cultivation. Now he is a Buddhist cultivator equivalent to the 4th level of Yuan Shen. When Su Junming was not in the cave of Daihuang Mountain, he was responsible for guarding the Tiangong divine furnace and refining elixirs and spiritual treasures. The puppet body is different from the 7 soul clones. It is Su Junming's own distraction, so there is no need to ask more. He also knows every change in the Tiangong divine furnace. Divine consciousness passes through the Tiangong divine furnace. In the huge furnace body, there are 3 circles of 36 bronze statues with dragon heads and human bodies, emitting red and purple flames. 3 copper lotus flowers floated in the billowing flames. In the first copper lotus, 4 long swords of different lengths and widths rotate around a piece of bright white metal. With each turn, a drop of bright white liquid rolled down and was absorbed by the 4 swords. And with every drop absorbed, the aura of the 4 swords becomes stronger. The four swords are the four elephant sword formation, and the bright white metal is the innate spiritual gold he obtained from the dragon clan's treasure house. After swallowing this innate spiritual material, the four elephant sword formation can almost withstand 12 spiritual restraints, and it will become a perfect spiritual treasure. In the second copper lotus, a liquid the size of a human head was rolling, and the intense high temperature was constantly extracting the residue from it. Judging from the quality, it is still early to become a pill. It seems that it will only take half a year before this furnace of 9 yellow pills can be refined. Zhuangdan is an elixir that Yuan Shen monks can use to increase their power and qi. It was compiled by Su Junming based on many Yuan Shen elixir prescriptions, with the help of bronze mirrors, to remove the rot and retain the essence. It has stronger medicinal properties and less erysipelas. Of course, it is also more difficult to practice. If he didn't have the Tiangong divine furnace and the bronze mirror to assist him, he wouldn't have chosen to practice like this. His consciousness was immersed in the third copper lotus and he examined it for a while. It's almost ready. After concentrating in his mind, the fingertips in his palm changed. Along with the spiritual light, a pale white spiritual light flew out from the Tiangong divine furnace, and the blue clouds went straight up, leaving Chongshan residence. Soon, vast thunder condensed in the sky above Taiyuan Cave. In an instant, 3 calamities of thunder, wind, and fire came. After experiencing lightning strikes, fires, and wind blows, a spiritual treasure about 1 foot high and 1 foot 6 wide, with irregular edges but generally round shape, it looked like a large vat, slowly fell into the hands of Su Junming. Feeling the mighty aura of creation on this treasure, Su Junming nodded with satisfaction. All this time, he has never practiced the natal spiritual treasure of the Tao of creation. The original plan was to wait for those few white lotuses of good fortune to mature and use them as basic sacrificial training. Unexpectedly, the quality of these lotus flowers continued to improve under the nourishment of the Zhuge spring, but they were still unable to fully bloom. The matter of cultivating the natal spiritual treasure of the Tao of creation has also been postponed again and again. Finally, this time I obtained the treasures accumulated by the Longjiang Shui tribe for tens of thousands of years, and found a piece of azure spiritual land among them. This kind of spiritual soil is not an earth attribute spiritual material, but a rare good fortune spiritual material. And the portion is quite generous. Su Junming used this as the foundation to practice this natal spiritual treasure of the Tao of creation. He stretched out his hand and the treasure turned into a spiritual light and fell into his palm. With a thought in his heart, golden traces like twisting snakes appeared on the cylinder. After a moment, the 4 words creation spirit pond became clearly visible. Under the influence of mana, the creation spirit pool slowly rotated. After tasting it for a moment, Su Junming nodded with satisfaction. Holding the spiritual pond in the palm of his hand, he came to the backyard. With a finger, huge suction power spreads out. The shrouded backyard pond instantly became rippled, and a large expanse of pale white water rolled up into a milky white spring 3 feet in diameter and flew into the creation spirit pond. The Zhougong spring is originally the spiritual spring of the Tao of creation, and when combined with the spiritual pond of creation, they complement each other. Just enough to produce the result of 1 + 1 being greater than 2. Su Junming stretched out his hand and pointed. 5 white lotuses of good fortune and 1 golden Bodhi lotus flew into the spiritual pond of good fortune. Think for a moment and throw it away. The creation spiritual pond expanded instantly, and after landing, it just filled the empty space left after the turbidity spring was taken away. Everything looks exactly the same as before. However, it is no longer the Zhuge spring that carries the 6 lotuses, but the creation spirit pond that is integrated with the Zhougud spring. Looking at the 12 acres of spiritual pond. After thinking for a moment, Su Junming activated his magic power, and a blue-black stone as big as a millstone appeared in his palm. This piece of mulberry green spirit stone was also obtained by him from the Dragon Palace treasure house. He stretched out his hand and squeezed the mulberry green spirit stone into a miniature mountain peak. With a wave of his hand, the mountain peak expanded instantly after falling into the pool. It turned into 3 connected hills of 3 to 4 feet, and it looked like it was standing in the water, like a small island. Take out the Wu spiritual soil obtained from the dragon clan's treasure house and scatter it on the hill. The earth element aura on the entire hill instantly became stronger several times. After nodding with satisfaction, Su Junming reached out and pointed. 2 fairy seed spiritual pines and red flame spiritual bamboos flew up and landed on the island in the middle of the lake in the center of the creation spirit pond. These immortal roots were obtained through his hard work and cultivated with the Tao of creation, and he could also allow them to continue to advance. This was also one of his original intentions for practicing the creation spiritual pond. Although as a natal spiritual treasure, its attack and defense are not as good as other spiritual treasures, the greatest advantage of the Tao of creation is that it can strengthen the foundation and cultivate the soul, and create good things for all living beings. The same is true for the original intention of creating a spiritual pool. Moreover, Su Junming is not short of attack and defense spiritual treasures. With his current cultivation level, the 8 treasures Spirit Pagoda, the Netherworld Bone Flag, and the 4 Elephant Sword Formation, any one of them is enough. On the contrary, there is a shortage of auxiliary spiritual treasures such as pregnancy and nursing, and the creation spiritual pool can just make up for it. Make a seal with your hands and clap forward. A black hole 3 feet in size appeared above the creation spirit pond. In the blink of an eye, elixirs in the cave bright stage appeared one after another, and then flew into the open space in the center of the 3 hills in an orderly manner. The spiritual energy in his elixir garden is extremely dense and can accelerate the growth of cave-level elixirs and spiritual fruits. However, although the cave-level elixirs are helpful, their effects are limited. Now move to the creation spiritual pond, and use the rich creation spiritual chi and acquired spiritual chi in the creation spiritual pond to shorten the growth cycle of the Dongming level elixir by 2/3. And as time goes by, these elixirs will have better quality under the nourishment of the aura of creation. Finally, a little guy with a purple body and the appearance of a 7 or 8-year-old child flew out of the space passage. Seeing Su Junming, he quickly prostrated himself. "Get up, you will stay here to take care of these elixirs for me from now on." Looking in the direction of Su Junming's finger, especially when he saw the island that revealed the rich aura of creation, and the aura was so dense that it was almost atomized, his eyes instantly lit up. "Thank you, sir." Su Junming nodded and waved his hand. "Go ahead." The purple child brought a spiritual light and disappeared on the island. This child is an elf made from a zizi plant, with nascent soul level cultivation. He got it from the Dragon Palace Medicine Garden after he destroyed Longjiang Dragon Palace. In addition to it, there are 1 Gejin plant, 2 ginseng plants, and 2 Polygonum multiflorum plants. 7 in total. Counting Su Junming's accumulation over the years, he already has 11 elves in his hands that have been transformed into essences. Don't look at 11 as a lot. In fact, it is extremely difficult to turn the elixir into essence. It takes hundreds of thousands of years to swallow the essence of the sun and the moon and absorb the spiritual energy of the mountains and rivers. Moreover, elixirs naturally attract people and demons, so most of them are picked to be chewed or refined into elixirs before they become spirits. Coupled with the thunder tribulation after becoming a spirit, the number is even rarer. In addition, the fading souls of plants and trees are far inferior to those of beasts, let alone humans who are the spiritual beings of all things. Therefore, even with tens of thousands of years of accumulation by the Longjiang aquatic tribe, there are only 7 elves taking care of the medicine garden. And Su Junming destroyed the Black Mountain demon cult and strangled tens of thousands of demon cultivators. He had countless opportunities, but he only found 4. After transferring the elixir, Su Junming took out a copper bowl from his sleeve, raised it with magic power, and poured the gurgling water into the creation spirit pond. The copper bowl filled with water was the Yusol spirit water that was collected after the Longjiang Shui clan was wiped out. This kind of spiritual water containing the lunar moonlight is of no use to Su Junming. Then he used it to worship and practice the spirit pool of creation. The created spiritual water in the created spiritual pool is the acquired created spiritual water that combines the way of creation and the way of water. Because of the existence of the turbid fountain, after consumption, it can be replenished by absorbing spiritual energy. But if there is a similar spiritual water supplement, the growth will naturally be faster. Yusol spiritual water has this effect. And compared to the Moon Soul spiritual water, the creation spiritual water plays a significantly greater role in refining weapons, elixirs, or cultivating elixirs. After the light blue spiritual water was injected into the creation spirit pond, it flowed into the center of the creation spirit pond, and was slowly swallowed and refined. In the future, as I understand more about the Tao of creation, the power of this creation spirit pond will become stronger. I wonder if innate spiritual roots will be born here in the future. After some reverie, Su Junming stood up. After leaving Chongshan residence, we came to the spiritual beast courtyard on the second floor of the palace treasure tree. Now, there are 4 spiritual beasts here. The Kuei Niu appeared here first, the sword butterfly appeared later, and the Luan bird appeared even further behind. Now there is another giant egg filled here, which is the Xieji egg that Su Junming had previously exchanged for the coiled snake staff from the Dragon Palace Immortals Festival. He used the spiritual water of creation to nurture the egg, and its vitality greatly increased. However, it would take 2 years for the egg to hatch. Moreover, it is immortal Su Huang and can absorb spiritual energy from the underworld for its own growth. It relies entirely on the spiritual energy of Taiyuan Dongtian, so it grows extremely slowly. To the east of the large lake in the center of the spiritual beast cave, on a large sycamore tree with lush branches, there is a bird's nest woven with golden grass that is about 10 feet wide. There are 3 eggs the size of a wash basin, with bright auras. Su Junming took 2 glances and felt the increasingly rich vitality in it, and understood in his heart. These 3 Luan birds are about to hatch. There happens to be 1 male and 2 females. When the time comes, the female birds will be handed over to Fu Qingfeng and Fu Yueqi. The Fu sisters have the natural phoenix energy given by Su Huang, and the Luan bird is a phoenix. The 2 sides complement each other well. Thinking of this, Su Junming carved a copy of the original scripture of controlling all beasts, activated the Huishan talisman, opened the space channel, and threw it in. At this moment, Su Huang, who had returned to Jinhua, suddenly appeared a hole next to him, and a jade slip fell out of it. Knowing that this was Master's method, Su Huang did not take any precautions. He reached out and made a move, and the jade slip fell into his hand. When he took a look with his spiritual consciousness, he immediately understood the cause and effect. He stood up and quietly walked to the room next to him. Fu Qingfeng and Fu Yueqi, who were drawing symbols by the window, looked over instantly. I was secretly satisfied. You should be wary. Come over. The 2 little girls quickly put down their brushes and walked over. Master. Fu Qingfeng was steady and polite, but Fu Yueqi looked over with a hint of fear in his eyes. During the time they were together, although this master was more beautiful than their mother, he was even stricter than their master when teaching them. It made her a little scared. Seeing the expressions of the 2 apprentices, especially the fear in Fu Yueqi's eyes, made her feel a little distressed. After all, these 2 disciples have her innate phoenix energy in their bodies, and they are half of her daughters. But she firmly believes that a strict teacher makes a good disciple, and for the sake of their future, she must also be strict. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 431. Bring the talisman you drew and show it to my master. The 2 little girls responded and quickly took over the painted talismans. Su Huang took it and took a look, feeling secretly satisfied. Although she only taught this ice sword talisman for 3 days, it was already commendable that she could accurately draw this talisman in 3 days. Of course, there are still some inaccuracies in the details. As long as you paint for a while and correct them, it will be fine. The painting is pretty good. After being praised, even the relatively calm sister Fu Qingfeng's pretty face couldn't help but look happy. Yueqi has made great progress. She must always encourage this young disciple who is often punished by her so that she will not become discouraged. Thank you, Master. The little guy's face was full of surprise. Keep working hard next time. Yes. He waved and motioned for the two of them to come and sit down with him. Today I will draw the talisman here first, and I will teach you a set of techniques. Master, what kind of technique is it? Fu Yueqi, who was out of his mind, asked expectantly. This method is called the original sutra of controlling 10,000 beasts. It is a secret method taught by us in Chongshan. Today, as my master, I pass on this method to you according to your master's instructions. From now on, you should use it as a guide. The Ice Dao is the main one, and this Dao is the supplement, so you can practice well. The skills passed down by the master. Their eyes instantly lit up. After responding, he quickly sat cross-legged and activated the phantom of the bronze mirror in his danshan to improve his understanding. After nodding secretly, Su Huang took out the jade slip sent by Su Junming and explained it, then excerpted the key points and gave them to the two disciples respectively. Take these 2 jade slips and go back to understand them. The two of them accepted it respectfully. Su Huang pondered for a moment and waved his hand casually. 2 beads, all white in color and exuding a faint cold air, the size of the mouth of a teacup, appeared in front of them. These 2 ice-soul divine beads are spiritual treasures specially trained for you by your master. Originally, I planned to wait until you advance to the golden elixir before giving them to you. Now that I see that you practice diligently and are dedicated to the Tao, I will give them to you in advance granted. I hope you will use it well and live up to your master's hard work. Yes, thank you, master, thank you, master. The 2 little girls happily took the ice-soul divine bead into their hands. This bead is ice cold and very comfortable to hold in your hand. For a moment, the 2 of them couldn't put it down. Just when Su Wang's master and apprentice were teaching and learning, Su Junming had already left the spirit beast courtyard and arrived at Taishi Cave. Over the past few decades, there have been tens of millions of people here. There is no dynasty here, it is all ruled by Chongshan Academy. The academy disciples are also the foundation for Su Junming to manage the entire population of tens of millions. Originally, he didn't want to go to such trouble and let everyone just go about their business and fend for themselves. But once in a while, he discovered that this kind of rule could strengthen his understanding of the way of the human emperor. Su Junming lowered his light and saw dozens of acres of sorghum field in front of him. The sorghum plants here are 1 foot tall, with fluffy ears nearly 2 feet long, and rounded grains the size of peanuts. Clearly, these are no ordinary sorghums. Chi la, as the branches and leaves swayed, a sturdy man wearing a bunt walked out. What he held in his hand was not a hoe, but a short sword that shone with golden light. Su Junming, who is proficient in weapon refining, can tell at a glance that this is a low-grade magical weapon with 3 forbidden laws. Look at the man skillfully using his magic power to shoot out streaks of golden light into the sorghum plants. If you use a bronze mirror, you can see that after each golden light hits the sorghum, it disperses instantly, and all aphids parasitic in the sorghum will be instantly killed. Seeing Su Junming, the man was stunned for a moment, stopped what he was doing, and came forward. Where did senior brother come from? Most of the people in Taishi Cave grew up as orphans. And all the orphans basically come from Chongshan Academy. Therefore, when strangers address each other, they all use senior brother as an honorific title. I traveled here from Qingyuan Prefecture. The young man's eyes instantly turned to respect when he looked at Su Junming. It turns out that the senior brother from the upper court is here. Su Jian is disrespectful. I hope you can forgive me. The entire Chongshan Academy is divided into 4 levels of governance. Each village at the lowest level is guarded by one or several innate monks, and the one with the highest level of cultivation can become the village chief. 40 to 50 villages form a town. The town is centered on the lower courtyard of Chongshan Academy. All children in the village must study in the lower courtyard after they are 7 years old. The academic system lasts for 5 years. After 5 years, if you can advance to the innate level and pass the exam, you can advance to study in Chongshan Academy Intermediate School. The place where the middle courtyard of Chongshan Academy is located is the county. Generally, there is only one county out of 20 or 30 towns. The academic system of the Intermediate School of Chongshan Academy is also 7 years. If you can advance to the late Xiantian stage and pass the exam, you can advance to study in the upper school of Chongshan Academy. The place where the upper court is located is called Fu. 20 or 30 counties form a prefecture. Currently, there are about 12 prefectures in the entire Taishi Cave. In other words, almost every prefecture has a population of 1 million. The academic system of the upper academy is also 10 years. If you can advance to Jindan within 10 years and pass the exam, you can advance to study in the main academy of Chongshan Academy. The main campus of Chongshan Academy was the first Chongshan Academy built by Su Junming in Qianlong Peak. It can be seen from this that all the tens of millions of people under the jurisdiction of Chongshan Academy are monks. As monks, the crops they plant are also spiritual seeds. For example, this sorghum is the most common and common yellow rice in the spiritual world. Junior brother Su, you're welcome. Seeing as your cultivation level is at the 5th level of innateness, you're not much weaker than me, Su Junming said. Among the Taishi caves, the surname Su is the most popular. Because many orphans didn't know their last names, they subconsciously chose the same last name as his rumored dean. This is probably the same for Su Jian. He smiled bitterly and shook his head. I dare not compare myself to my senior brother. When I was in Qingyang County Intermediate School, I had an unstable mind and was so stubborn that I neglected my spiritual practice and was kicked out of my class when I graduated. Later, I came to Kingxi village to settle down with a few classmates. People arrived. It was only in middle age that I suddenly realized that I really regretted it and wasted the best time of studying. Haha, cultivating Taoism and seeking truth is a lifelong career. Although junior brother Su has wasted a few years, there are still decades to come. As long as you practice hard and don't fall short of today's ambitions, you will definitely achieve success in the future. Su Jian nodded vigorously. In the future, I must go to Shenlongfeng General Hospital to find out what's going on. After finishing speaking with determination, he looked at Su Junming. You haven't asked for your teacher's name yet. As the dean, Su Junming's name is known to every student of Chongshan Academy. Definitely not usable at the moment. My name is Su Ming. So, brother Su was also an orphan. 8 out of 10 people named Su in Taishi Cave are orphans. Exactly. Su Jian instantly felt close to him. Senior brother Su Ming, since you have come to my Kingxi village, you might as well go and sit at my home. Wouldn't you delay senior brother's killing of insects? Haha, it doesn't matter. Today's acre of yellow rice is the last acre. It won't be too late to kill it in the afternoon. At Su Jian's warm invitation, Su Junming followed the stone road into the village and came to a village surrounded by mountains. There are about 100 households in Kingxi village, and each household is a 2-story wooden house with a front and backyard. It can be seen that the people who live here are considered wealthy. Of course, with a monk's ability, it is quite difficult to live in poverty. Senior brother Su Ming, this is my home, please come in. Following Su Jian into the yard, there was an apple tree and a pear tree planted in the spacious front yard, surrounded by walls and flowers and plants. You can tell that this yard has been carefully taken care of. Daddy. Two little guys, a boy and a girl, rushed out of the wooden building. Like two little tigers, they rushed into Su Jian's arms. Holding the two children in his arms, Su Jian laughed heartily and happily. At this time, a young woman wearing a purple skirt and a simple hairpin came out of the wooden building. Senior brother Su Ming, let me introduce to you, this is my wife Chen. Honey, this is senior brother Su Ming from the upper court of Qingyuan Mansion. Chen Ji was shocked. The seniors in the upper courtyard were at least in the advanced stage of Xiantian and above, and there was even a possibility of entering the main courtyard in the future. He quickly bowed and saluted. I've met senior brother Su. Smiling and nodding, after the ceremony, he looked at the two little guys who were hugging their father's thighs and looking at him. Is this your child? Su Jian nodded. The older one's name is Su Lei, and the younger one's name is Su Fang. They also have an older brother who is currently studying in the lower courtyard in the town. Please call me uncle. Hello Uncle Su. Good boy. After touching their little heads, Su Junming spread his palms, revealing two jade charms. They are all the simplest magic weapons. This is a gift from uncle to you. Su Jian's expression changed and he quickly stepped forward to stop him. Senior brother Su Ming, this is so precious. Just like when Su Junming first entered Taoism, it was difficult for ordinary monks to have a magical weapon close to them. Su Jian's own golden sword weapon was obtained by selling yellow rice after years of hard work. I am a weapon refiner, and these two jade talismans are just a piece of cake for me. Su Jian declined for a long time, and then accepted it with gratitude on Su Junming's insistence. Stepping into the house, Su Jian and his wife were naturally greeted attentively. This is. Look at the shrine in the wing. There are two portraits enshrined inside, one is of himself in a green robe, the other is of Qiao Shaoxan in a white dress and holding a wooden staff. Fortunately, Su Junming came out this time and changed his face, otherwise he would have been recognized by Su Jian. Dean and Patriarch Qiao. It was Patriarch Qiao who rescued me from Renyazi and sent me here. It was the Dean who was compassionate and founded Chongshan Academy, allowing me to grow up and embark on the path of spiritual practice. The words are sincere and the eyes show gratitude. At the same time, a faint power of faith spread to himself from the portrait. No wonder the power of faith in me has become stronger and stronger over the years. It turns out that it was caused by being worshipped by others. Su Junming thought to himself. Senior brother Su, you don't even know the Dean and Patriarch Qiao, right? Seeing the reproachful look on his eyes, Su Junming shook his head secretly. By some strange combination of circumstances, he was actually blamed. Of course not. I just didn't expect that junior brother Su would actually enshrine the portraits of the two ancestors here. Of course. Every household in Kingxi village enshrines the portraits of the two ancestors. Doesn't senior brother Su have one? I didn't get married yet, so when I was in school, I naturally had an ancestor hall to worship. I see. Seeing that he finally stopped worrying about this, Su Junming actually felt relieved. When did he feel pressured not to worship himself? I laughed in my heart. This was also a strange experience. After having lunch at Su Jian's house, the two parties chatted about what they had experienced at school. Of course, most of the time it was Su Jian who did the talking and Su Junming listened. He also wanted to know what were the shortcomings of the teaching system he created through his puppet body. Fortunately, most of what I heard from Su Jian was good, and only a few details could be modified. After lunch, Su Junming left Kingxi village. After passing through villages and towns all the way, after making a large circle, we returned to the main courtyard of Qianlong Peak. Along the way, I didn't see any chaos. Thousands of practitioners practice steadily and make progress in cultivation through their own hard work. This is exactly what he wants to see. Of course, not everyone is a good person. Those with malicious intentions had long been killed by the law enforcement teams under Chongshan Academy. Become a disciple of Taoist priest for us. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 432. Chapter 425, 12 Palaces. Shenlongfeng Chongshan Academy. When Su Junming first opened Chongshan Academy, there was only a 3-story archway and a dozen long and narrow bungalows similar to factory buildings. But now, the simple and long and narrow bungalows are gone, replaced by beautiful and poetic buildings with different shapes, wood or stone, hidden among lush green flowers and plants of various colors. Among the various buildings and guards, there is a magnificent palace that stretches from the foot of the mountain to the top of the mountain. It is built entirely of rocks and is more than 10 feet high. It covers an area of thousands of acres. Each palace is larger than the Forbidden City in China, and there are 12 of them from the foot of the mountain to the top of the mountain. Passing through the tall archway with the 4 characters Chongshan Academy embossed on it, and walking up the wide mountain road, it didn't take long to reach another tall stone gate. This stone gate is the Human God Gate. According to the rules of Chongshan Academy, only those who can pass the Renchenman can enter the main academy to study. No matter how outstanding your qualifications are, you will not be allowed to enter the main hospital. In fact, the test of the Human God Gate is far inferior to that of the Earth God Gate. It mainly eliminates those who commit crimes and are insidious and cunning. Go past the Renchen Gate, and then pass through a square with a width of 12 acres and 4 giant tripods placed there. In front of you is a hall similar to the Hall of Supreme Harmony in the Chinese capital, but taller. Tai Shigong. 3 huge etched inscriptions are carved on the plaque and hang high above the entrance of the hall. Taishi Palace is the first palace of Chongshan Academy. It is here to accept students admitted to the main academy, handle various chores, hold student conferences, and undertake tasks and transactions. After passing Taishi Palace, the second palace is the 5 Elements Palace. All students who practice the 5 elements study here. The 5 elements are the foundation of heaven and earth, and they are also the easiest avenue to practice. In the entire Chongshan Academy, 40% of the students practice the 5 avenues of metal, wood, water, fire, and earth. In the past, the 5 Elements Palace was the Fenglai Palace, and in the past, the Fenglai Palace was the Taoist Palace. As the name suggests, the Wind and Thunder Palace teaches the way of wind and thunder, as well as the palace pavilion extending from the 2 paths of wind and thunder, such as ice, wind, rain, fog, and snow. The Tai Chi Palace teaches yin, yang, and the avenues derived from yin and yang, such as pure yang, Swanyan, netherworld, and reincarnation. Behind the Taiji Palace is the Tiangong Palace, which teaches the 3 avenues of formation, alchemy, and weapon refining. Behind the Tiangong Palace is the Creation Palace, which teaches the Tao of creation, the cultivation of spiritual plants, the cultivation of spiritual beasts, and similar avenues. Behind the Creation Palace is the Tianjian Palace, which teaches the way of swordsmanship. Behind Tianjian Palace is the Martial Arts Palace, which teaches martial arts and the military arts that extend from martial arts. Behind the Martial Palace is the Hunyuan Palace, which teaches the 12 great ways of illusion, beast control, sealing, sound, law, and cause and effect. Behind the Hunyuan Palace is the Divine Soul Palace, which teaches the Divine Soul Taoism, as well as branch Taoism including puppetry and degree transformation. Behind the Divine Soul Palace is the Divine Palace, which teaches the way of believing in Shinto and the way of fighting. Behind the Divine Palace is the Ming Palace, which teaches the methods of destiny such as Ziwei Doshu, Luren Shenkei, Qi Men Dunxia, and astrology. The last palace is called the Palace of the Universe, where the universe is time and the universe is space. What this last palace teaches is the unity of time and space. It can be seen that the 11 palaces are getting more and more difficult from front to back. Especially in the Life Palace and the Universe Palace, except for Su Junming's puppet body as a teacher, there is currently no student who can share the burden for him. Behind the 12 palaces is the top of Qianlong Peak, where a tall stone gate stands, with the words Dishen Gate shining brightly on the beam. Since it was placed here, no one in the entire Chongshan Academy has been able to pass its test. Su Junming walked into Taishi Palace. There were not many people coming and going here. After all, the most important thing for monks is cultivation. Except for class time or if they want to earn cultivation resources, they rarely come here. There is a long table on the right side of the palace gate. Behind it, a middle-aged monk wearing a blue robe is holding a white jade slip and looking at it with gusto. Hearing the footsteps, Qiu Yun subconsciously turned his head and looked. It didn't matter. His face changed, and his buttocks jumped up from his seat. He ran over in a hurry and bowed to salute. Qiu Yun has met the dean. Su Junming nodded slightly. Are you on duty in Taishi Palace today? Exactly, the disciple. I met the dean. Meet the dean. The disciples who had entered around him quickly came forward to pay their respects. After nodding one by one, Su Junming said, Qiu Yun. The disciple is here. The golden bell rings 3 times, summon all the disciples to gather in the middle hall of Taishi Palace. Yes. Su Junming disappeared in a flash. Qiu Yun stood up and ran towards the bell tower on the east side of Taishi Palace. According to the rules of Chongshan Academy, the 3 ringing of the golden bell is the signal to summon the disciples. Unless they are practicing in seclusion, everyone who hears the bell must immediately rush to the middle hall of Taishi Palace to gather. There are also 6 and 9 ring golden bells. The 6 rings are to summon all disciples. No matter what you are doing, even if you are in seclusion, you must leave the seclusion immediately and rush to the middle hall of Taishi Palace to do the Taoist ritual. The 9 rings are a taboo. Once they are rung, it means that Chongshan Academy is at its most dangerous time, and everyone must fight to protect Chongshan Academy. Dong dong dong. The mighty sound waves enveloped the entire Qianlong Peak. In an instant, hundreds of rays of light flew out from various buildings around Qianlong Peak, heading straight towards the middle hall of Taishi Palace. The middle hall of Taishi Palace is the largest hall in Chongshan Academy. Blessed with Hushan Taoism, it is as big as hundreds of football fields. The majestic palace was illuminated by 108 luminous pearls. On the broad lotus seat in the middle, Su Junming sat cross-legged. On the 12 small lotus pedestals below are his puppet Dharmakayas responsible for guarding 12 palaces including Taishi Palace, 5 Elements Palace, Fenglai Palace, and Taiji Palace. Below the lotus platform are countless futons, and figures flying in one by one sit down according to the time of enrollment and cultivation level. After a while, 372 people were seated. These 372 people are all golden elixir monks, but that's not all. There are some golden elixir monks who serve as teachers in the upper courtyard of Chongshan Academy in the 12 prefectures, but they are not here. In addition, it is part of being in seclusion or traveling outside. Nearly 50 years have passed since Zhejiang City took over the first batch of orphans. Chongshan Academy has trained about 500 Jindan monks. It sounds like a lot, but considering the population of nearly 10 million in Taishi Cave, this number is actually very low. Only one golden elixir appears in almost 20,000 people. This shows how difficult it is to practice. Especially the Golden Core Thunder Tribulation has blocked too many monks who want to go further. As for the nascent soul cultivator, there is not one yet. The ones with the highest cultivation level among them have reached the golden elixir perfection, but they are afraid of the nascent soul heavenly tribulation and will not go through it until they are completely sure. I'll wait to see the dean. The loud voice resounded throughout the hall. Su Junming, who was sitting high on the lotus platform, looked at the disciples bowing and saluting below. At this moment, he couldn't help but feel satisfied in his heart. Although his greatest ambition is to become an immortal and become an ancestor, he does not mind starting a sect in the process and making his disciples spread all over the world. Get up. Thank you, Dean. Dragon Kingdom Chapter. A high-spirited man in a brocade robe stood up from the futon. Chen Ping. A short, thin man with a serious appearance stood up. Murong Shui. This time it was a beautiful woman wearing a purple dress. In the past 10 years, the three of you have been in charge of the upper courts of Qingzhou Prefecture, Longquan Prefecture, and Xinyuan Prefecture, and have trained 37 Jindan realm talents for the main courtyard. During your tenure, the education in the three prefectures has flourished, and taxes have been paid. The top three are indispensable. Today, I will give you the magic weapon according to the preface. The faces of the three people instantly showed joy. Isn't it just for this moment that I have worked so hard to build the three newly opened marginal mansions of Qingzhou Mansion, Longquan Mansion, and Xinyuan Mansion into prosperous places? Dragon Kingdom Zhang, I will give you a top-grade magic weapon, the Red Flame Spiritual Flag, 36 pills of 3 yellow pills, and you will be allowed to study in the Sutra Pavilion of the Five Elements Palace for half a year. With a wave of his hand, the spiritual flag, the porcelain bottle containing the elixir and the passage token flew down. After quickly catching it with both hands, Long Qiuzhang bowed excitedly and saluted. Thank you, Dean. Chen Ping, I will give you a medium-grade magical weapon, the Thunder God's Hammer, and 36 pills of 3 yellow pills. You can enter the Sutra Pavilion of Fenglai Palace to study for 3 months. Although he is not as good as Long Qiuzhang, Chen Ping also knows that his achievements are not as good as his opponents, so he has no complaints. Murong Shui, I will give you the middle-grade magical treasure Swanyan's Lips, 36 pills of 3 yellow pills, which is like a month of meditation in the Sutra Pavilion of Taiji Palace. Thank you, Dean, for the treasure. I hope you three will practice well and make new achievements. Yes, I will remember the Dean's teachings, practice hard, and make new achievements. Hundreds of pairs of envious eyes looked at the three of them. Seeing it in his eyes, Su Junming, who had already planned it, waved his hand, and light flowed out of his sleeve like waves. It seemed to be endless, and it took a full quarter of an hour before it stopped. Looking at the densely packed, auspicious and brilliant treasures at the top of the hall, everyone except Su Junming was stunned. Gudu, countless swallowing sounds sounded. So many magic weapons. Yeah, a lot. No one except Su Junming had ever seen the sight of thousands of magic weapons, spiritual weapons, and magical hedgehogs gathered together. A total of 100,000 magic weapons of different grades, nearly 10,000 spiritual weapons, and nearly 1,000 magic weapons were all that Su Junming obtained after destroying hundreds of thousands of Longjiang Shui tribe's demon army. In addition to these, there are millions of pills of various grades. There are nearly tens of millions of elixirs and spiritual roots of different grades. The Longjiang aquatic tribe has accumulated tens of thousands of years of heritage, which is unimaginably rich. Even though he has left the best part of it, the rest is still terrifyingly rich. Compared to the Black Heart Demon sect, the Dragon Clan is worthy of its reputation as a treasure trove. Even if they are just a group of pseudo-dragons, the amount of treasures they collect is still staggering. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 433. As you can see, there are 1,149 magic weapons here, 13,960 spiritual weapons, and 129,368 magic weapons. There are also various pills. There are 260,000 bottles of medicine and nearly 5 million pieces. In the future, if you have merit in teaching, I will reward you generously. Su Junming has no use for these things anyway. The most suitable place for them is to use them to provide generosity to others and promote the development of humanity in Taishi Cave Heaven. Hundreds of golden elixir monks, whose eyes were reddened by the countless treasures, couldn't wait to go to the examination hall to receive the mission right now. We must obey the dean's orders, educate the people, and make contributions to the academy. Su Junming's heart moved. The 12 puppets around him flapped the yellow gourds around their waists at the same time. With strong suction, the magic weapons on the left and right were put away in sequence according to the 5 elements, yin and yang, wind and thunder and other attributes. The same goes for elixirs. However, more than 100,000 magic weapons and dongjin-level elixirs were placed alone in a gourd. These things are only suitable for Xiantian monks, and these Jindan monks in Chongshan Academy will definitely not be able to use them. On the contrary, it is of great use in the lower, middle, and upper chambers. Today's meeting ends here. If you have nothing else to do, you can go on your own. Dean, something happens to Su Yang. A young man wearing a green robe, with an ordinary appearance and a serious expression said loudly. What's the matter? This disciple is preparing to survive the nascent soul tribulation and applies to borrow Zhenli Peak. Su Junming's expression changed slightly. The person with the highest cultivation level in Suyang Chongshan Academy has been perfecting the golden elixir for several years now. Now I finally can't help but want to advance. Transport your mana. Su Yang nodded, the magic power in his dantian rolled, and soon the blue wind and thunder magic power flew out from the top of his head, like a blue cloud, with awe-inspiring righteousness, and at the same time, it revealed an awe-inspiring and inviolable, masculine, and true meaning of conquering demons. Good. After Su Junming thought for a moment, he opened his palms and a porcelain bottle flew towards Su Yang. Here are 2 supreme qi boosting pills. I give them to you because you have been practicing diligently for many years and are the best in all cultivation. Su Yang's face showed excitement. The name of Tai's Hang Qi Buping pill, as he has been practicing alchemy, he knows very well that 1 pill of this big cave level pill can replenish 80% of the spiritual energy of the golden elixir perfection monk's dantian. With them, the success rate of overcoming the tribulation can be increased by 30%. Seeing this scene, everyone around was envious. But no one spoke except Su Yang. After all, their cultivation is far from the golden core perfection, and even the few monks who have just advanced to the perfection realm still lack the skills to polish themselves. If you speak rashly, it is easy to leave a greedy impression on the dean. Not only will he not be able to get the elixir, but he will also probably be reprimanded. So longing returned to longing, and no one spoke again except Su Yang. Thank you, Dean, for the elixir. Su Junming nodded slightly and said, let the others leave. Su Yang, come with me. With a wave of his hand, De Xiu pinched Su Yang, and the flying light flew up, falling into the Zhenli Peak among the Bagua peaks. This is the first choice place for Su Junming's disciples to survive the tribulation. The thunder talisman in the mountain and the innate Bagua array can effectively weaken the power of thunder. Although the effect is limited, it can also increase the success rate by 10% out of thin air. Don't underestimate 10%. Under the calamity of falling at every turn, 10%'s success rate is already very impressive. Zhenli Peak has received countless thunderbolts, and the land on the top of the mountain has crystallized, exuding a lavender brilliance in the sunlight. The top of the mountain is like an uneven mirror. After you adjust your breath for 3 days, start overcoming the tribulation. Yes. 3 days passed quickly. He opened his eyes and looked at Su Junming, who was sitting cross-legged not far away, with deep respect in his eyes. Dean, disciple is ready. Then let's get started. Yes. Su Yang's dantian magic power was operating at full strength, his aura dispersed, and several black clouds flew from a distance as fast as galloping horses, covering an area of 30 feet above his head in an instant. The black clouds pressed down, as if they could be lifted up by standing up. There was a boom and lightning flashed. The jumping electric flowers were like fish flying out of the black clouds. They entangled and entangled with each other, and in the blink of an eye they formed a 2-foot thick pale red thunderbolt. A simple and bold bronze sword with clouds and thunder patterns engraved on the back flew out from the dantian. The bronze mirror flashed, and a purple thunderbolt popped up. With a bang, the two thunderbolts collided, like two angry dragons biting each other. The electric sparks scattered in all directions and gradually disappeared. The second thunder had reached 4 feet, and the power of the majestic thunder doubled in an instant. Su Yang repeated his old trick, and the thunderbolt fired by Feng Leijian doubled. After the two sides collide, they cancel each other out. The third thunderbolt reached 6 feet. The fourth thunderbolt reached 8 feet. The fifth thunderbolt was 10 feet long. These 5 thunderbolts were all blocked by Su Yang's wind and thunder mirror, but he had consumed a lot of mana and was already sweating faintly on his forehead. The sixth thunderbolt reached 12 feet. The majestic thunder rolled down like a river bursting its banks, extremely powerful. Su Yang looked tense and pointed at Feng Leijian. Wind God Sword. The Feng Leijian shines brightly, and the rich cyan wind spirit power rises into the sky. The sharp blades are tangled together to form a cyan giant sword that is tens of feet tall. Su Junming saw this and nodded secretly. Being able to control the wind spirit power to this extent, it is obvious that Su Yang's understanding of Feng's Hideo has reached the Yuanying realm, and he has also walked a certain distance in the Yuanying realm. Boom! With the fierce collision, the wind blade was born and destroyed, and the thunder was shattered inch by inch. Slowly the wind and thunder gradually disappeared in the constant collision. The clouds rolled in the sky, and accompanied by a sound like a bull's roar, the seventh lavender thunderbolt, which was 14 feet in size, was knocked down instantly after gathering enough thunder power. Su Yang used his remaining strength to activate Feng Leijian. Mjalnir. The color of the infinitely compressed thunder became darker and darker, and in an instant, a huge purple octagonal hammer, more than 10 feet tall, appeared in mid-air. The nearly substantial purple hammer collided with the seventh tribulation thunder. Accompanied by a thunderous noise, vast thunder light filled the sky, countless scattered arcs stirred the air, and a faint smell of burning lingered in the nose. Thunder clouds rolled in the sky, like an endless river, speeding up faster and faster. The rolling thunderbolts were entangled, and the eighth thunderbolt was close to 16 feet. A slight paleness appeared on Su Yang's face, which was a sign of weakness. He originally planned to hold on for a while, but when he saw the scale of the thunder, he quickly took the supreme qi replenishing pill given by Su Junming. The Taishang qi replenishing pill that Su Junming understood with the help of the bronze mirror is definitely the best of its kind. After taking it, Su Yang's face became visibly rosy. A strong confidence emerged from his eyes, and with a finger, Feng Leijian, who was originally weak, gained a great victory. Thunder Spear. The Feng Leijian suddenly became more than 10 feet in size, and the huge thunder shot straight upward, like a huge beam of light, and like a huge purple spear, rising into the sky. The needle points collided with the wheat-like thunder, and the huge thunder was like exploding fireworks, turning into a thunderous rain all over the sky. With this splendid and dangerous scene, the eighth thunderstorm was finally past. In the ninth thunder tribulation, all the thunder energy in the sky turned into a huge thunder ball. The 18-foot-long thunder struck down towards Su Yang like a huge meteorite. Su Yang, knowing that this was the last calamity thunder, also devoted all his energy, and all the mana in his dantian was input into the Feng Leijian. The dazzling blue-purple wind and thunder spiritual power rolled out like a river bursting its banks. The surging blade and thunder were like two angry dragons entangled with each other, running straight towards thunder. A dazzling thunder light filled the sky in the blink of an eye. Immediately afterwards, a strong shock wave, like a flash flood, swept thousands of feet around. The loud thunder was as deafening as the beginning of the world. Seeing the scene in front of him, Su Junming raised his eyebrows. Su Yang's understanding of the way of wind and thunder is extremely profound. Thunder rolled, thunder exploded, the black clouds gradually dissipated, and a rich innate spiritual energy poured into his body. Seeing Su Yang's breath rising rapidly, Su Junming nodded secretly. He can be regarded as the first person to break through the nascent soul, apart from the many direct disciples under his sect. To be able to reach the step without the blessing of the bronze mirror phantom on his understanding, this person's qualifications and understanding are considered to be top-notch. I broke through. Opening his eyes, Su Yang felt extremely excited as he felt the surging mana in his body and the shining wind and thunder talismans. You can imagine how excited I feel when my long-cherished wish comes true. Seeing Su Junming sitting cross-legged in the distance, Su Yang temporarily suppressed his excitement and quickly stepped forward and knelt down. Disciple, I would like to thank Dean for the gift of elixir and the virtue of protecting the Dharma. Get up. You can practice well in the future and make more contributions to Chongshan Academy. Su Yang and his body. Dean, I am devoted to cultivation. I hope you will take pity on me and accept me as your disciple. I will practice hard and serve my master. Looking at his hopeful eyes, Su Junming showed a trace of thought on his face. As the fastest practitioner in Chongshan Academy, Su Yang also paid attention to him. He has excellent qualifications and understanding, but he is romantic by nature, and he is often dismissed because of women in the illusion of the Earth God Gate. I tried many times but failed to pass the test. Su Junming shook his head. You cannot enter my sect unless you pass the Earth God sect test. This rule cannot be changed. Su Yang's face showed deep disappointment. But because you practice diligently and are the first person in the academy to break through to the nascent soul, I will make an exception and accept you as a registered disciple. I will give you the pot sky talisman and the wind and thunder wings spirit treasure. If you have any questions during your daily practice, you can go to Taiyuan Cave Heaven to ask for advice. I will give a lecture someday, and you can come and listen. Opening his palm, a spiritual talisman and a pair of sword wings entwined with wind and thunder appeared in his palm. He got these wind and thunder wings when he was in the Chinese world. Later, he fused them with the eagle wings of the Divine Eagle Master and became the top-grade spiritual treasure of the 7 spiritual taboos. Su Junming has enough treasures in his hands. This time he got the Dragon Palace treasure. After improving the commonly used spiritual treasures in his hands, this wind and thunder wing has become the best thing in the box. Just give it to Su Yang. After all, he is also the most outstanding disciple cultivated by his Chongshan Academy. Due to the rules he set, he cannot be accepted into his sect and is ranked as his direct successor. But since he is accepted as a registered disciple, he can still be regarded as a disciple. When you are out and about, you cannot compromise your reputation. Moreover, he has mastered the wind and thunder Dao, and is the most suitable master for this wind and thunder winged spiritual treasure. Seeing the Lingbao slowly flying towards him, Su Yang was extremely excited. He had heard the name of Lingbao a long time ago, but he didn't expect that he would be qualified to own it now. It is said that the Hushan talisman is the standard equipment for the direct disciples of the Dean. Only with this talisman can one enter the Dean's monastic place in Chongshan residence in Taiyuan Cave to listen to the teachings. Although he didn't have the opportunity to become the Dean's disciple, from these 2 treasures, it can be seen that the Dean valued him. Disciple, I would like to thank my teacher for the gift. After I return, I will practice hard and strive to advance to the level of Yuan Shen as soon as possible and serve in front of my teacher. With your qualifications, I'm not worried about your future practice. But if you can't change your lustful nature, you won't be able to become an immortal in your lifetime. Su Yang's expression froze and he looked a little confused. Having entered the Earth God Gate 3 times, he knew exactly why he couldn't pass. Disciple is ashamed. Looking at him, Su Junming pondered for a moment, then waved his hand, and a jade slip flew into his palm. This is the contemplation of white bones in the red dust which I modified based on the Buddhist practice contemplation of white bones. After you go back, you will be able to understand when your beautiful face turns into white bones, and when will you go to the divine gate of the crossing earth. After accepting the jade slip, Su Yang showed determination on his face. Disciples must live up to their teacher's teachings. I hope you remember what you said at this time, go ahead. Su Yang kowtowed 3 times, turned around, and ran away. As a registered disciple, he was not qualified to go to Chongshan residence to worship the ancestor, light the soul lamp, and enjoy the blessings of Genpai's spiritual treasure. Looking at his back, Su Junming shook his head slightly. It is said that students should be taught in accordance with their aptitude. This Su Yang did teach in accordance with his aptitude, but it depends on whether he can pass this test. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 434. After sending Su Yang away, Su Junming's figure gradually blurred, and when he reappeared, he had arrived in a vast world. A large, dim yellow river runs across the north and south, dividing this huge world of thousands of miles into 2 parts. In the dim sky, a crescent moon sheds a faint light, making it difficult to see the 5 fingers here. In such an environment, except for a few negative vegetations that look like weeds, there is almost no life. This is the underworld created by Su Junming using the law of reincarnation. His eyes shifted from the tall ghost gate and the wide Huangquan River to the huge city of wasted death. There are 18 more gates behind the city of Fuzi. From front to back, it corresponds to the 18 hells. These 18 hells were created by using the perfect magic weapon called the 18 hells of the netherworld that he obtained from the Chongyang cave, plus a lot of spiritual materials. Compared to the legendary 18 hells, it couldn't be more simple. But it is enough for Daihuang Mountain Cave Heaven. Surrounding the city of Fuzi, there are densely packed blue will-o'-the-wisps like stars in the sky. If you look closely, you will see that these will-o'-the-wisps are the souls of people, livestock, and so on. Su Junming flew into the city of wasted death. People were coming and going in the huge city, which looked just like the human world. However, the inner city is relatively quiet. The outer city is where people live, and the inner city is where the palace of hell in the underworld is located. Su Junming controls the entire underworld through his puppet body, Situ. The underworld is full of Shay Yin energy and death energy. Except for Shang Situ, who practices the heavenly demon white bone scripture, no other puppet body can adapt to the environment here. Flying into the inner city of Yama Hall, the magnificent hall is similar to the Golden Palace in the Chinese Forbidden City. Su Junming flew up and sat on the black chair on the high platform. The green robe on his body instantly changed into a black dragon robe, and a flat crown appeared on his head. The imperial aura instantly became stronger. Of course, his appearance also changed to that of Shang Situ. With a flick of his finger, the bronze bell hanging next to him rang instantly. Although the clear bell was not too loud, it carried a mysterious meaning of law. Su Junming played his fingers 3 times, and after 3 bells sounded, a faint figure flew in from outside. Soon, more than 100 figures in official robes lined up in neat queues and stood on both sides of the hall. Seeing Su Junming sitting high on the table, he quickly bowed and saluted. "See Lord Yama." Looking at these officials, big and small, who manage the underworld, Su Junming nodded. "Everyone, get up." "Thank you, sir." Judge Iron Pen. A half-hundred-year-old man with a resolute appearance, wearing a red official robe, holding a book of life and death in his arms, stepped forward. Judge Taibi is an important minister in charge of the book of life and death. Su Junming found a selfless man in Daong, but because he was not liked by the superior, he was imprisoned and his soul was dead, and he took it for himself. Judging from his performance in the past 10 years, This person is worthy of his respect. Grown-ups. How many ghosts are there in the underworld now? Sir, there are now 19.6 million mortal souls in the underworld, 279,677 monks, 198,726 demons, 6 animals, and 5 idiots. 339,265,249. Most of the souls in the underworld were obtained by Su Junming after he destroyed the Black Heart Demon sect and destroyed the Heavenly Demon Banner, 100 Soul Banner, and 1000 Soul Banner. A lot less than last month. Sir, on the 7th day of last month, the underworld increased a lot, and the ability to reincarnate in the 6 realms of reincarnation was also greatly strengthened. As a result, the number of reincarnated people increased a lot. Su Junming nodded. Last month, he used the Wanlong Kill to worship and practice the caves in Daihuang Mountain. Not only the Taishi Cave and Taiyuan Cave have grown, but the Yinchi has also grown a lot. Can the soul of the Golden Elixir monk be reincarnated? Judge Iron Pen shook his head. The 6 paths of reincarnation can only reincarnate souls in the innate stage for the time being. The souls of Jindan monks are so powerful that they may need further growth in the underworld. After waving him back, Judge Long Wu, a general wearing a helmet and armor, stepped out of the queue. Grown-ups. How many ghosts are there in the underworld now? There are 13 Jindan level leaders, 172 Zionation level captains, and 4,329 ordinary Yin soldiers. In the underworld of Su Junming, the military system was divided into 3 levels: army, capital, and camp. 20 to 30 Yin soldiers form a corps, 8 to 12 corps form a capital, and 4 to 7 Yin soldiers form a battalion. They assist the civil service team of Judge Iron Pen and manage all the ghosts and monks in the underworld. Su Junming waved his hand, and a legal bag flew towards Judge Iron Pen. Last time you said you didn't have enough Yin soldiers and asked for an expansion. I was right. There are 2,000 pairs of underworld armors and 4,000 swords and guns. I leave them to you. Thank you, sir. I will be loyal to the King of Hell with all my heart. Judge Longwu's face was filled with joy. The most ordinary pair of underworld armor is enough to turn an ordinary ghost into a powerful warrior that can rival ordinary innate warriors in an instant. High-grade underworld armor is more powerful. With these underworld armors, he can expand his army. Su Junming nodded. This Judge Long Wu, like Judge Taibi, came from the mortal world of Daong. He was originally a general, but was taken over by Su Junming after his death. He is quite capable, but a bit lustful. However, he allowed his subordinates to have minor flaws as long as they were within reason. After asking more than a dozen judges in charge of supervision and trial one by one, Su Junming made simple adjustments based on his reflection on the underworld management organization during this period. After spending a day to deal with the affairs of the underworld, he left. The Yin world is the last big world in his Emperor Mountain. As for the heaven realm opposite to the Yin world, there are no very powerful gods in the entire human world except for the land and the city god. Even if he hadn't wiped out the Black Heart Demon cult, he wouldn't have created any underworld if he had acquired too many ghosts. But fortunately, by mistake, the continuous growth of the underworld and the Shinto allowed him to continuously improve his understanding of the Emperor's Way and the Earth's Emperor's Way. At the same time, Su Junming gradually understood that the underworld and reincarnation could also be included in the earthly Emperor's Way. When the next gourd matures, I will sacrifice and train the bird's Yin soul clone, and at the same time separate the 3 Emperor's ways. At that time, I can separate the common people who govern the 3 realms of heaven, earth, and human beings. After finishing his thoughts and looking at the great rivers and mountains he had worked so hard to cultivate, Su Junming took a step forward and his figure gradually disappeared. When he reappeared, a ruined temple appeared in front of him. It was Lanruo Temple that he had visited once before. As soon as Su Junming appeared, he saw a sword light flying from the depths of the temple, and soon Yan Shixia's figure appeared in front of him. "Master, why are you here?" He withdrew his gaze from the ruined main hall of Lanruo Temple and looked at his 4 disciples. Yes, he is already a nascent soul. It's a pity that compared to 3rd senior sister and 5th junior sister, it's still far behind, Yan Shixia said regretfully. Your 3rd senior sister started training earlier than you, and it's normal for her to have a higher level of cultivation than you. Your 5th junior sister is born with profound skills, which is naturally extraordinary. But as long as you practice seriously and have a master to teach you, you will naturally be able to catch up in the future. Yan Shixia still nodded in agreement. Master, why are you here? Su Junming waved his hand casually, and a light yellow bead the size of a fist, a brown wooden box 4 feet long and equal in width and thickness, flew out of his sleeve and fell in front of Yan Shixia. This bead is made from the relics you got from Lanruo Temple. It is a top-quality spiritual treasure with 10 spiritual taboos. It has the function of protecting the mind and subduing external demons. This sword box was made by me using the 1,000-year-old tree heart of the tree demon. It contains a sealing array and a space array, which can absorb people and demons. There is also a spirit gathering array that can gather spiritual energy and breed flying swords. Finally, after I trained the sword box, it became as strong as fine steel and can be used as a shield when unfolded. In addition, there are 12 spiritual talismans that I have trained in the sword box, which can be used for offense, defense, and assistance. They can protect your life at critical moments. Thank you, Master, for the treasure. Yan Shixia took it respectfully and excitedly. After nodding slightly, he looked at the dilapidated mountain temple in front of him. Do you plan to use this place as a dojo in the future? That's not true. It's just that the disciple felt that he had a connection with this place. After traveling around for a while, he returned here to retreat. He planned to go out to travel in the mountains after he couldn't make any progress in his cultivation. Then just practice hard, but the heavenly tribulation of the soul cannot be overcome lightly. Su Junming nodded and said. Master, don't worry. Disciple understands. Moreover, I have just entered Yuanying now, and I am still far away from Yuan Shen. As long as you have an idea. Come on, tell me about your spiritual practice during this period. Yan Shixia's heart was shocked, and her face showed an eager look. He had accumulated a lot of questions in the way of swordsmanship, and he took this opportunity to seek answers. Su Junming stayed at Lanruo Temple for half a month and left after helping Yan Shixia take a further step in the way of swordsmanship.